The time is now 6:01. Good evening and welcome to the February 15th, 2024 fiscal year 25 Superintendent's Proposed Operating Budget Work Session of the Prince George's County Board of Education. My name is Judy Mickens Murray, Board Chair. Before we begin, I would like to ask everyone to turn off any wireless communication devices to avoid any technical interference with the microphones and taping of the meeting. This meeting is currently being streamed live via Zoom. We also have Spanish interpretation services available for this evening. Ms. Lopez, please announce that Spanish interpretation is available by clicking on the globe icon at the bottom of the screen.
La interpretación en español está disponible para los espectadores haciendo clic en el icono del globo en la parte inferior de la pantalla. Haga clic en ese globo y seleccione Spanish.
Thank you. For viewers who are not able to observe at this time, the meeting is being recorded and will be available for later viewing on Prince George's County Public Schools YouTube channel. Tonight's Board of Education has convened this meeting for discussions and decisions on the fiscal year 25 budget amendments submitted by board members. Ms. Lopez, please call the roll.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Here.
Ms. Busser Strother,
Present.
Mr. Briggs,
Present.
Dr. Harris, Dr. Harris, Mr. Jackson,
Here.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Present.
Dr. Juanita Miller,
Here.
Dr. Zipporah Miller,
Good evening, present.
Mr. Murray, Mr. David Murray,
Mm.
Dr. Harris,
Present.
Mrs. Rout, Mrs. Rout, Ms. Walker, Ms. Rivera Forbes, Ms. Mickens Murray.
Here, I did not hear Vice Chair Walker or Mr. Murray or Board Member Rout. Am I correct?
I can call again.
Please.
Mr. Murray,
Okay.
Mr. David Murray, Ms. Walker, Ms. Walker, we cannot hear you.
Yeah, I think you're muted.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm here. I said present. Sorry about that.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Mr. Jackson,
He did say present. I saw him come off and say present earlier.
Present. Hello.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right.
Ms. Rout, Ms. Rout. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. I count 10. We have a quorum. Okay, thank you, Ms. Lopez. Adoption of the agenda. The question is on the adoption of the February 15, 2024 fiscal year 2025 Superintendent's Proposed Operating Budget Work Session Agenda.
I move that we adopt the February 15, 2024 fiscal year 2025 Superintendent's Proposed Operating Budget Work Session.
Second.
Okay, was that Dr. Miller who seconded?
Yes.
Zipporah Miller, okay. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. Ms. Lopez, please take the roll.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Ms. Busser Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris, Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Mrs. LaSalle Fresher,
Aye.
Dr. Juanita Miller, Dr. Juanita Miller,
Aye.
Dr.
Did you
Zipporah
hear me?
Miller. Yes.
Aye. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Zipporah Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Murray, Mr. David Murray, Mrs. Rout, Mrs. Rout, Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Ms. Rivera Forbes, Ms. Meekins Murray.
Aye. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. I have 10. We have, I have 10 in the affirmative and none in the negative. Motion carries. Okay. Again, tonight's meeting is designed for discussions and decisions on the fiscal year 2025 budget amendments submitted by board members. I will now yield the floor to Mrs. Shayla Adams Stafford, Chair of the Operations, Budget, and Fiscal Affairs Committee, OBAFA, to introduce the amendments received that were approved by the committee.
Chair Mickens Murray,
Yes.
we want to adopt the budget work session because we did have the votes. If you just want to do that line, just so we're clear. Thank
Oh,
you.
okay. The motion in the affirmative, 10 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The February 15, 2024 fiscal year 2025 superintendent's proposed operating budget work session agenda is adopted. Thank you, Vice Chair. Ms. Adams Stafford.
Thank you. The following amendments were approved by the OBAFA committee to advance to the full board for consideration. 2.1 bullying support, prevention and intervention, 2.2 additional FTE assessment, 2.3 non-dairy alternatives, 2.4 teacher retention, 2.5 coordinators of office and family and school partnerships, 2.6 mental health awareness, 2.7 enhancing school security staff, 2.8 safe passage coordinators, 2.9 environment quality supervisor, 2.10 board communication director, 2.11 board lobbyist, 2.12 operating budget review committee, 2.13 student Chromebook repair program, 2.14 continuation of special education outreach and engagement, 2.15 in-person professional learning space, 2.16 Teacher Academy of Maryland, 2.17 sensory rooms, and 2.18 BOE budget analysis position. We can approve these amendments.
Excuse me, Chair, Adam Stafford, 2.7, you misspoke. It should be enhancing school secretary staff. You said security staff. I just want to make sure for the record.
Thank you. It's 2.7 enhancing school secretary staff.
Thank you.
We can approve these amendments in block. Would anyone like to pull amendments out for discussion?
Chair Adam Stafford, I did have a question for one. Does that mean I need to pull it out? It was
Yes.
Specifically around the 2.15 in-person professional learning space.
Okay, 2.5, you want to pull out, okay?
No, it's
So
2.15.
you wanted to
Oh,
pull out.
I'm sorry, 2.15.
Hold on 1 second. You wanted to pull out 2.15.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank you. Board Member Boozer Strother.
And the pullout, is this just to ask clarifying questions before the block vote?
Yes.
Okay, clarifying questions for 2.18. 2.9,
I'm sorry, excuse me, I just want to correct that. These will be pulled out to have a discussion and we will vote on them separately.
and then if it's all a block vote, are we having you're saying we can ask questions about any one of these as part of the discussion of the block vote?
No.
No,
you
at,
want-
at this time, we're going to have, we had discussion yesterday. Today, we're going to vote on them in block. If you want to pull one out to have a discussion and vote on it separately, then now would be the time to voice that. And so just which items are you asking to
Okay.
be pulled out?
Well,
separately?
that's fine. I'll do that. That doesn't totally make sense to me since that was just committee and this is full board. So to be able to ask clarifying questions, 2.18, 2.9, 2.10, 2.11.
Okay, so board staff, are we notating that?
Ms. Busa-Strother, would you please repeat the amendments?
2.9, 2.10, 2.11, 2.18.
So I count 4 of them. Was it 4 of them, Board Member Boozer Strother? 2.9, 2.10, 2.11, 2.18?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Lasai Frazier.
Sorry. I was also needing clarification about the block. I'm in agreement with Board Member Booster Struthers. Why are we not going through them? This is board meeting and yesterday was.
I will speak to that. On all the other committees, when something is approved in the committees, we vote on them as a block. Because the discussions happened in the committee and the committee approved it. When it comes to the full board, it does not need a second. And the practice has been that we vote on all of the items as a block. So,
That's not true.
but you have an opportunity to pull out what you want to discuss.
I think our constituents should be able to hear all the different conversations because a lot of them were not part of the committee work.
Well,
I don't agree with this process.
Well, you
The
can decide to
process
do
is
them
not,
all.
that is incorrect information that the chair has.
Excuse me, Dr. Miller.
Well, let me raise
You
my
have
hand
not
because
been
you're providing the
acknowledged.
public
Thank you. And you
misinformation.
have 4 hands before you, Dr. Juanita.
Okay,
Miller.
well, I'm
So
number
let me-
5, soon as
let
I
me-
can find my
Let
hand.
me recognize those folks first, please. And at this time, we're recognizing board members, Ms. Board. So I need to recognize the board members first, okay?
Yes.
So Ms. Madeline Frazier, you have the floor.
I already shared that. I'm just not in agreement. Thank you.
Okay, Board Member Juanita Miller. First of all, let me go back to Board Member Boozer Struthers. Were you finished, Board Member Boozer Struthers?
Well, I have a new comment based on the new remarks that have been made. So you can circle back to me after Dr. Miller, if that would be appropriate.
Well, if the board wants to entertain all of these separately, all you have to do is make a motion to do that.
I'd also just, if I can, point of information.
Sure.
The OBAFA committee throughout this entire year has given very clear information about our budget amendment process. We've actually reviewed it in every board meeting, really throughout this year. We've also invited board members to come to OBAFA meetings where we continuously review what the process will be. I want to thank all of the colleagues who came yesterday. Many colleagues who came yesterday didn't have budget amendments that they were presenting. They came to listen to the discussion. So just as we do in any other committee, we have a discussion, a robust discussion where we had feedback from the administration. All of the administration staff came as well. And we were there for 2.5 hours. So certainly, first of all, I just want to also say, this is a good thing that we have budget amendments. Let's start there. There have been years where no one has submitted a budget amendment, and this is a good thing that community is being reflected in the budget process. So we don't want to stop anyone from being a part of what we're doing tonight. So we don't want to put that narrative out there, okay? But what we do want to do and honor the process that we have laid out throughout this year. So certainly, take whatever amendment out you like. We're prepared to talk about it, and we can be here tonight to talk about it, just like we did last night. But I just want you to understand, we're following a protocol and process. Sweetie, hold on one second, that we laid out to the public. Okay, so if anyone else has something to say, we can do that now, or else we're going to go ahead and start with the voting and pulling out the amendments you'd like to discuss.
I
first.
take,
we
I
need-
take that by my chair. The
Excuse me,
chair will tell us
we
that.
need
Point
to,
of order.
Okay,
I
sure,
need to
that's
continue
fine.
to acknowledge the board member. So, Board Member Boozer Struthers, where are we with you?
Yeah, well, one, I think, I will say, I will speak for myself, others can speak for themselves, but this is now a full board meeting and we will not be shamed for engaging in how votes go. There are emotions and there's discussion. And that is what we always do. So please, Board Member Adam Stafford, to imply that some of us spent our time last evening at a committee meeting or did not is just offensive. And it's offensive to everyone who is
Okay,
tuned
a
in
board
from the
member,
public. So
we're-
no,
we're not gonna have
Chair
the
Mickens
discord.
Murray, this
Yeah,
needs
we're
to
not
be
gonna have
said
this
to get back on track here.
Yes, we.
All I
let's get
wanted
back on track.
was to clarify if a block vote had discussion. And if it did, I could take any part of that block and have discussion. But I was told no, which is highly unusual for any vote of this board. Actually, never. The board always has discussion before we vote. Let's just be clear. So we can take them separately or not, but to shame us for that process is just unacceptable, and it has to be said publicly. Thank
Okay,
you,
but,
Chair Mickens
but
Murray.
when we said that there wouldn't be discussion, there's always discussion. So you are correct on that. Even if we do the block vote, there, I would say, after I receive the second, is there any discussion? And at that time, we can discuss it. But what we thought is, since so many board members were there last night, and maybe we missed it, that we could save some time. But if we don't want to do it that process, I am open. So, are we still pulling, amendments out? And then we do a block vote and then we have a discussion around those? Or are we doing the entire, each amendment at a time? So I will entertain a motion. Are you finished, Board Member Boozer Struthers? Okay, thank you. I will go to, I haven't forgotten you, Chief of Staff Board.
That's
But
okay.
I'm going to Dr. Miller now, Juanita Miller. I'm going to the board members first. Dr. Miller, Juanita Miller. Dr. Miller, Juanita Miller. Are you frozen, Dr. Miller? Okay,
I'm there.
okay, good.
First of all, I'd like to apologize to the public for my outburst.
Thank you.
However, that was misinformation. The purpose of the subcommittees is for the committee to review any, I'm on the P&G Policy and Governance, and we review bills. Everyone doesn't show up there, but the purpose is for that committee to bring to the full board what has been recommended by the subcommittee. And so just because a lot of board members showed up at the subcommittee meeting does not mean that we cannot go bill by bill, item by item in the full, when we're in the full board, because we're before the public. And even though the public has
Dr. Miller, we understand that now. All the boards, I
would
mean,
you let me finish, please?
not if
You
you're
know,
going to
please extend
continue
me
to
the
admonish. If you're continuing, if you're going to move the process forward, yes. But if you're admonishing other board members, no.
I'm not admonishing anyone. I was sharing with the public what the process is that
But
was
we shared what the
misrepresented
process
by the
is
chair.
tonight.
I
We shared it.
move, Madam Chair, that we go item by item then.
You made a motion?
Yes,
Well,
I did.
We'll entertain the motion. there's a motion on the floor that the motion is before us to entertain each amendment individually and take a vote individually. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion around this motion? It has been moved and properly seconded that we take each amendment individually. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Ms. Lopez, please call the roll.
Chair McInerney.
Yes.
Um,
Who- Oh,
It's Dr.
Dr.
um,
Harris, okay.
I will say that some of the sponsors aren't here to speak on their amendments. That would be the only thing I would say to this
Motion.
motion. Just a point of clarification there.
Appreciate that. Board Member Zipporah Miller.
Is this discussion for,
This is on the motion that we take each amendment individually and vote individually. That's the motion that's on the floor.
okay. I was gonna add, could we, discuss the ones that need to be discussed and still vote as a block?
No, because we have to entertain this motion first. We need to vote this motion up or down. If you want to vote on each motion, each amendment individually, you will vote in the affirmative. If you don't, you will vote in the negative. Okay? I need to go to Lolita Walker.
Thank you so much. What I was gonna say in this vote here is I believe Chair Adam Stafford and the people that were on the call yesterday for the amendments is that I think we can talk intelligently about the amendments so that we can move swiftly through this process. We were there for a good portion of time, and for the folks that were not there, I think that we have enough information to be able to speak on their behalf as all of them moved into this into the open forum. So I'm happy to do that and vote accordingly, so that we can move the process forward and ensure everybody is very in tune to what it is that we're doing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, thank you for your patience. I see no more board members' hands. Thank you for your patience, Chief of Staff Board.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to make sure that board members are aware that Superintendent House has asked for his executive cabinet and PGCPS leadership team to be available for questions from the board related to the amendment. So we would love the opportunity to clarify should the
Thank you
opportunity.
so much. I see Board Member Brandon Jackson.
Yes, I was gonna say, can I make an amendment to the motion? To just pull the amendments in question out, and then the rest of them can stay as a block and we can vote on that.
That's where we started out, Board Member Jackson. I think we need to vote this motion up that Dr. Miller put on the floor to do individual amendments. You can vote against it if that's not what you want to do. You can vote for it if that's what you want to do. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. I see second round, Dr. Zipporah Miller.
I have a clarifying question and then I'd like to make an amendment.
Okay, your question is on this motion, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I just forgot the question. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
The amendment I wanted to make was to allow board members to speak to each one individually, but vote on them as a block.
Okay, so your motion is,
I'm amending the second part. in
so you
terms-
don't want us to vote until the very end, till we've heard for all of them. That is what you're asking.
Correct.
That is what you are, that you put on the table as an amendment. Correct? Am I correct?
Correct. We may not need to hear from
Yeah,
all.
there's no second, so we're still back with Dr. Miller's motion of entertaining the amendments individually. And Ms. Lopez, I need to see a clock, and can we do 2 minutes, please? Thank you.
Yes,
Okay, I see Board Member Rout has arrived, and I will recognize Board Member Rout. Then I will go to Board Member Shayla Adams Stafford.
Thank you, Chair Mickens Murray. I would point, I know we have to vote this up or down, but I do have an update that the secretary, I spoke to the administration, and I would like to pull the secretary budget amendment that passed yesterday. So maybe that would be able to influence this discussion. So I would like to make a friendly amendment to being able to vote on everything but the one that is being pulled.
Okay, since you were not here, we did not pull that. We're still entertaining the vote that Dr. Juanita Miller put on the table. You will still have an opportunity to pull your amendment.
Okay, very fine.
Yeah, but I need to do this. Vice Chair Adam Stafford. I mean, yeah,
I
Chair,
just want to be clear for all of my colleagues, under the current process that we have laid out here today, we will vote as a block on the amendments that have not been pulled out, to which there will be discussion. Anyone can have a discussion on any item, just as a normal vote. You have to allow discussion.
Right.
If an item is pulled out, and you can pull out anyone you would like, then there will be a separate vote and discussion on that specific one. So just so we're clear, discussion can happen in a block vote on any item, and discussion can happen on an individual item, which also will have an individual vote, just for clarity.
Right, Ms. Howell, I see your hand, but I think that we need to deal with the motion with the board members first. So any more discussion from board members?
Madam Chair, I can't get my hand up, but
Okay, then, second round for Dr. Juanita Miller.
I'm rescinding my vote.
Okay, good. Now we're back to no vote.
Thank you, Dr.
So
Miller.
we're back to you, Adam Stafford, Chair of the OBAFA Committee. And now I can recognize.
I'm sorry,
the
my
Howell.
hand is up. My hand is up.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
second round. Thank you so much. Chair
Well,
Adam
she-
Stafford, I just have a question. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, and that's what I was getting ready to do, Vice Chair. Since Dr. Miller pulled her motion, then that's what I was doing. I was going back to the Chair, Adam Stafford, and then we will entertain back to where we were, the process of pulling
Chair.
out. Who's talking? Who's raised their hand? Okay, I'm back to where I was when we started out. What is on the floor is that board members can pull
Madam
out.
Chair,
It's
Yes.
the parliamentarian.
Oh, Mr. Swift, thank you. I need to see your hand. Go ahead.
if
Who's our parliamentarian? Go ahead, Mr. Swift.
Dr. Miller is requesting her motion be withdrawn,
Yes,
it can be done without objection. That would
yeah,
work.
I did that. I mean, I
Thank you.
thought I did that. Yes, sir. I thought I did that. So what I was trying to do was do a reset back to the OBAFA chair, who is Adam Stafford, to explain the process again and to allow board members the opportunity to pull amendments.
Okay, you would like for me to explain at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're
Explain it again.
going to, the process as we have stated for tonight will be that we would vote on all of the 18 amendments as a block, in which in a vote, you will have an opportunity for discussion on any of the amendments within that block. You can have a discussion. Then board members have the opportunity to pull any amendment out for discussion, in which we'll have a separate discussion and a separate vote on that amendment. And if that was not clear, because we as a board have not really done a process like this before, this is the largest amount of amendments that we have ever had, which again, I think is a great thing. This is a great improvement for us. But because of the amount of amendments, we are trying to make this a more streamlined process and make it more efficient. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we'll go to Vice Chair Walker.
Thank you so much. Chair Adam Stafford, the question that I have, I originally wanted to pull out Amendment 215. And my question is, if I ask the question and shift my vote to an opposition and it's in a block, how do I have the opportunity then to not vote with it if it's in a block, or no? How does that work? Can you help me with that, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm actually going to defer to our parliamentarians. So this parliamentary procedure that we're using right now is called voting in gross. So if you could please explain that now for us, Mr. Swift. Thank you.
Any one of the amendments that are pulled are considered and voted on separately. Those that are not pulled or voted in block, that is one vote, you get a yes or no, and that's it. Is that okay?
Thank you so much. In the spirit of that, I do want to vote as a block. However, I have questions around 2.15, so I would like to pull that. Thank you so much, Chair.
Okay, now I have to take notes again. So, board members. I see 3 hands. I want to recognize the staff at this time because I see their hands. I wanted to hone in on our process first, but I will go to Superintendent House.
Yeah, just thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to make certain that, and it's the reason I have my staff here this evening. There may be various items that we have additional information that we want to share in and around, and I didn't want the process to come and go. And there wasn't an opportunity to share insights why, for example, there may be a duplication of efforts around an amendment. So it was under my assumption that we were going individually, but I just want to make certain that we have the opportunity to speak up and speak out about particular items as we move forward.
Okay, thank you. Board member Zipporah Miller, can you indulge me? Because Ms. Howell has had her hand up for a while, and so has Chief of Staff Board. So is it okay if I go to them first?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So we will go to Ms. Lisa Howell first.
Thank you so much. Just wanted to clarify, as I did last night, around amendment number 2.3. The non-dairy alternative is part of our Food Nutrition Services Fund, which is a non-operating fund, which means it has its own funding source, and that is not part of the operating budget. The operating budget is approved by the board. The non-operating budget is not. So I want to make sure that everyone is clear when it comes to voting on a budget amendment. There will not be an impact to the non-operating budget because that is not approved by the board. As you're
I can
having
pull
this
that.
discussion, okay.
That's for myself and
Excuse me, raise your hand so I can recognize you. Let her finish, please, and then I'll recognize.
So just want to provide that clarity as you were going through the block discussion to make sure that that was part of that consideration.
Appreciate that. Now, Chief Board.
Yes, thank you. I had a clarifying question, as Superintendent House mentioned. Of course, his executive team is here to answer questions and to speak to clarity around where there might be a duplication of efforts. What I wonder is if there is an executive here who would like to speak to a particular amendment, but it is not pulled, what is the process for that? Or is there a process for that?
Well, all of your staff was here last night. And unless they're telling us new information, are they want to repeat the same information for the public that was not there last night? Is that the purpose? The board received information from everybody last night, the board members that were here.
Exactly. The board members that were present last night, I think would be a great opportunity for the collective board to hear the responses if that's if time permits.
Okay, well, time will permit because we need to do this tonight. So time will permit.
Thank you.
So when we have the discussion around the block, if the board members have a question, then the administration will have an opportunity to respond.
Okay. Yeah.
Now I need to go back to Vice Chair Walker first and then to Board Member Boozer-Strother.
thank you so much. I was going to say Sora Lord. Chair Adam Stafford and I were co-sponsors of 2.3 non-dairy alternative, which is what Ms. Howell talked through. Thank you so much, Ms. Howell, for reminding us of that. She mentioned last night that this was not in the operating budget, where we got alignment from Dr. Coleman that he would be looking at this in his own budget for food and nutrition. So Board Member Adam Stafford, if you're okay, I think we can pull this because we've gotten alignment on working on this offline with Dr. Coleman's team. Thank you so much. I saw your head before, but I just wanted to double check. So we'll just pull that out for the block vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Revell, I am counting on you to keep track of these. Okay, appreciate it. All right, Board Member Boozer Struther.
Yeah, I am just going to once again push back against this narrative that somehow last night was not a regular committee meeting with members. That is not a full board meeting, and not all board members should attend that meeting. Tonight is the full board meeting to review these amendments. Last night was not. This narrative this evening I find very disturbing, and I am going to once again push back. That was not a board meeting last night. Thank you all very much for making sure we were all aware that we could attend. But again, I don't even know if we should all be there during committee meeting, and I'm sure Parliamentarian Swift could speak to that as well.
Yeah, he spoke to it last night.
So,
Go
you
ahead.
know, let's just be very clear. I am pushing back against this narrative that somehow we were supposed to all show up to a committee meeting last night. The board does not all show up to committee meetings.
Okay.
So I again, I would appreciate if
It's
my
received.
colleagues and my chair could stop this
It's
narrative.
received.
Thank you.
Okay, your chair has received that comment. Now, going to the Board Member Zipporah Miller.
Mine was a clarification question. If in the block, there are changes made in terms of maybe the fiscal note or something because of, it might be a duplication of efforts, could it still stay in the,
It depends. I think it depends on the whoever the board member was. If the board member wants to pull it, they can. You can
Okay.
pull it just like Vice Chair did just now. Okay, are you okay with that?
I think I'm just going through something. Thank you.
Okay. Board Member Jocelyn Rout.
Yes, thank you. I just had a response to colleague Dr. Zipporah Miller's comment that may allow for a little bit more settlement. If there is a duplication, that is our vote as a board. If there is let's say for instance there is something that there's a duplication, through our vote collectively as a board majority rules, then that's in line with overturning what the superintendent has proposed, correct? I'm
No,
just trying to be on the same page with you.
no. This is not. This is the board's opportunity to add into the budget what the board wants to add. If the board votes in the affirmative, it gets added.
Regardless if it's a duplication or not, yes?
Yes, regardless.
That's what I wanted to
But the
clarify with Dr.
discussion,
Miller.
what
Thank you.
what the discussion helps with though, is it helps the board to see if they're making a conscious decision, understanding that
Madam Chair, with all due respect, thank you so much. You have helped answer the question to Dr. Miller, and it was directed towards my colleague. Thank you so much.
all right. Put your hand, okay. I see no more hands, so I'm giving it back to Chair. Okay, I see Dr. Zipporah Miller's hand.
I appreciate trying a clarification. So we're saying that if we're already paying for something and it's in the amendment, we're gonna pay for it twice?
I am saying that each board member has to make its own decision, his or her own decision about whether or not to vote for it. I also said that whoever was the, whoever the board member was that made the recommendation, they can choose to pull it.
Okay,
And
so
then it would not require an action from the board.
let me pull 2.17.
2.17, okay. Ravel, did you get that? 2.17 pulled.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Now I'm giving it back to Chair Shayla Adams Stafford, so we can continue our process, please.
I would like to pull 2.14 and I think 2.15 is already pulled out, and I believe 2.1.
Okay. Any more board members want to pull any? So Ravel, I'm looking for you to tell me what's left for a block and what we're going to vote on separately, please.
Yes, ma'am. The following have been pulled out. I'll do those first and I'll tell you what's left.
Appreciate it.
2.1, 2.3, 2.7, 2.9, 2.10, 2.11, 2.14, 2.15, 2.17, and 2.18. Left we have 2.2, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.8, 2.12, 2.13, 2.16.
Okay, I hate to ask you this, but can you do the second one again? The
What's
block.
left?
What's
The block?
left?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
block.
Absolutely.
What is the block?
Here's what will be in the block based off the comments. 2.2, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.8, 2.12, 2.13, 2.16.
Okay, thank you. Adam Stafford, did you get all of that? No, I have it. And I see Board Member Boozer Struthers' hand.
Yeah, thank you for recognizing me. If any of those were pulled for separate votes because of my original discussion, that was not my intent if I could ask questions of the block. So those I was not asking for those to be pulled. I want to be able to ask clarifying questions. So if you pulled those because of what I said earlier, that was when I misunderstood how we were doing this.
Okay, so before you had 4 that you wanted pulled. Are you saying?
I didn't want them pulled for separate vote. I wanted to be able to discuss them. I was told there was no discussion on a block.
Okay,
And
so you
that is the
wanted them
difference.
added back into the block and then we can have the discussion? Okay, can you remind me of which ones they were? I know I had 2.9, 2.10, 2.11.
2.9, 2.10, 2.11,
Okay,
2.18.
and 2.18. Okay, so I need to scratch those off from over here. Ravel, did you correct yours as well?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to mine. Okay, 2.9.
Currently, the ones that I have pulled are 2.1. These are the ones that are pulled.
Yes.
2.1, 2.3, 2.7, 2.14, 2.15, 2.17.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. You have been so helpful. Okay, Board Member Adams Stafford. First, I have to go to Vice Chair Walker and then Superintendent House.
Thank you so much. I think Chair Adam Stafford lowered her hand. I didn't hear 2.3 called, but I think it was in your list. Can you just confirm that 2.3 was in fact called, Mr. Fitzpatrick? Because you had that as called. I didn't hear that called out, but
Well, we pulled it. So I don't think we need to vote.
I didn't pull it. I just didn't hear it pulled, but I heard it in his list. So I just wanted to double check that you had heard it pulled, Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Okay, got it.
Here, may I?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Oh, I don't know, Chair, sorry.
Yeah.
It was in the original list, but Chair Boozer Struthers has corrected it, so it's no longer pulled.
Thank you so much. And then the second piece that I had is I would like to pull 2.5. Thank you so much.
2.5. 2.5. You want to pull, okay, take that out of the block. Okay, 2.5. All right, so I have for the block, 2.2, 2.4, 2.6, 2.8, 212, 213, 216, 29, 210, 211, and 28. Is that what you have, Mr. Fitzpatrick?
If I may, Chair.
You go ahead.
2.2,
I'm good.
this is the block. 2.2,
2.2.
2.4, 2.6, 2.8, 2.9, 2.10, 2.11, 2.12, 2.13, 2.16.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And 2.18.
Okay, 1, 8, so that's 11. Right? Because we have to write these in a motion. So 2.2, 2.4, 2.6, 2.8, 2.9, 2.10, 2.11, 2.12, 2.13, 2.16, 2.18. Are we in sync?
Yes, ma'am. We have voting on 11 in block.
Okay, so Board Member Adam Stafford, this is the motion for the block. So do you want to make the motion? I can tell you the numbers if you make the motion, because we have them. Board Member Adam Stafford, can you hear me? Oh,
She just asked me to give her a minute.
yeah, I saw her hand. I thought it was
Okay,
hand.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I need the numbers again.
Okay, you want to give them to her, Ravel?
You need me to do it?
Please.
Yeah.
Right,
Chair,
so you can
Go ahead, Miss. Oh, Vice Chair, you're doing it? Where are you? Okay, Mr. Harris.
So, Chair Adam Stafford, the numbers are 2.2, 2.4. So sorry, I'll just make the motion, okay?
Yes.
I'll just make the motion. Everyone in agreement there? Cool.
I'm in agreement. Are you in agreement?
That's fine.
Good.
So Chair, I make the motion to vote on the following budget amendments in block: 2.2, 2.4, 2.6, 2.8, 2.9, 2.10, 2.11, 2.12, 2.13, 2.16, and 2.18.
Okay, it has been moved to vote on the budget amendments in block as indicated by number, which we will capture in the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Now the floor is open for discussion, and when we discuss it, the board member is going to have to tell us which amendment we're discussing. Okay, and it was a 2-minute round. We're gonna do 2.5 minutes for the question and the answer. Okay, and I see Vice Chair Walker first.
Thank you so much. I'd just like to add into that list, Dr. Harris, 2.3 non-dairy alternative, which was amended toward the end by Mr. Fitzpatrick. Thank you so much.
Yep, I'll accept that amendment.
2.3?
Yep.
Okay. All right, are you done, Vice Chair Walker?
Yes, I will lower my hand.
Okay, Board Member Boozer Strother?
Thank you so much. I would like clarifying on 2.9, the environmental quality supervisor overseeing water and air with over 200 buildings. When we do this testing, typically we would hire a firm with multiple employees to be able to cover so much. Can I just have some information about what it is that the one employee would be expected to perform in that position, just given the volume of testing required. And 2.11 for the amount of time, I'll just go to 2.11, just some more clarification over supervising of the board lobbyists during session if the full board has to take positions before the lobbyist would represent. So if I could start with those two in this round. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
I need to recognize the parliamentarian. Yes, sir, Mr. Swift.
I believe you should consider these in sequence, starting, of course, with the lower number 02. And if there are any questions or comments or whatever, do 02 first and then proceed to the others in sequence.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So Board Member Boozer Struthers, I'm going to take his advice if you don't mind.
I agree.
And what we will do now is Board Member Adam Stafford will say what the number is, the amendment is, and then that's the discussion that we will have on that particular amendment. Okay? Board Member Adam Stafford?
Yes, so we'll begin with item 2.9, and I'll defer to Vice.
No, we have to go with 2.2. That's the lowest number.
2.2.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, excuse me.
And
2.2.
Mr. Fitzpatrick, keep us straight. Okay, keep us straight. Okay, go ahead, Board Member Adam Stafford.
So 2.2, are there any questions on this amendment? This is for additional FTE assessment.
Any questions by the board members? Okay, I see no questions by the board members. Chief of Staff Board.
Oh, I'm sorry. My hand was raised to respond to Board Member Boozer Struthers' question around 2.11.
Okay, well, we're starting with 2.2.
I know, I'll lower my hand.
Thank you so much. 2.2, board members, do you have any questions? I don't see any questions for 2.2. So Dr. Davis, you just want to make a comment?
I just wanted to say that I do have Dr. Faison here tonight. This is the one around bullying, correct? Yes, I have Dr. Faison.
No, this is the one around the additional FTE assessment.
Correct.
Oh, okay, sorry, then no, I don't have a comment. I'll take my hand down.
Board Member Briggs.
Okay, let's for housekeeping, let's do this. If the board members ask a question, then the appropriate staff should raise their hand to address it. And that's when I would recognize staff. Okay, if the board members don't ask a question, then there's no reason to for staff to comment. So I'll go to Board Member Jonathan Briggs and Board Member Briggs. This is on additional FTE assessment, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't there for this amendment, so I would love it if the sponsor could just tell more about it.
I'm happy to. I was the sponsor for this, and while I don't have it up, in essence, what it was is that there was additional FTEs requested beyond last year's budget. And so my request was for the superintendent to be able to go through that and make some continuous improvement and cost savings opportunities within the additional staff that was requested. So it really is a feasibility request for them to go through and do some cost savings opportunities through that.
So is this like
that helps answer?
Yeah, is this like a comprehensive study essentially that's looking into what positions we're missing? When you say all, is it all?
It's not about what position, thank you for that. It's not about what positions are missing. Actually, what I'm saying is of the 300 plus additional FTEs that were asked for this year, what I'm asking for is for the superintendent and staff to go through each and every one of those to determine if there's opportunities for cost savings, if there's opportunities for continuous improvement so that we can reduce the total number that we have requested for this year.
Okay, I'm still confused, but well, I do have 40
No,
seconds.
just ask a question. Maybe I didn't understand it properly.
Yeah, I mean, when you say FTEs, are we talking like teachers? Are we talking like administrative staff?
Good question. I'm talking all. So what I'm talking about is inside of our budget book, when we look at it from cover to cover, what we see is additional FTEs by chief and by department. And so when I looked at that comprehensively, one of my questions was, hey, I see some staff that's going from X to Y, and I'm really interested to understand if there's any cost savings opportunities that are within that so that he and his staff can look at it. So that's what it is.
I got 7 seconds. So is this cutting their salaries potentially? Yes or no? Just curious.
No, it's FTEs, not salaries.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions, board members for 2.2? Seeing none, Board Member Adam Stafford, Chair Adam Stafford.
Thank you. We're moving now to item 2.4. Colleagues, are there any questions on item 2.4?
I see none, so we'll go to the next one.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I believe 2.3 was in the block as well.
That was needing to be removed because we're not able to vote on that on the operating budget. That is just going to be for discussion.
Yeah, we were just removing it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzpatrick. So moving on now, we're moving on to item 2.6. Colleagues, are there any questions on item 2.6?
And that's mental health awareness.
Board, let me raise my hand. We also pulled 2.5. Thank you.
Thank you. So after 2.6, if you all don't mind, we'll go back to 2.5 to item 2.6. Any questions on item 2.6? And I don't think Board Member Route is here.
Yeah, she was. There she is.
Oh, there she is. Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay.
I have no questions. I'm just grateful that we're doing it with, yeah, I'm grateful to be
I see
here. I'm grateful it's here.
hands. I see no hands, so.
Amen.
We
Oh,
can
Okay,
move to-
Board Member Briggs.
Yeah, Board Member Route, if you can indulge me on just what that one was, I think I might have missed that one too.
That's the mental health awareness one. And what it will do is the district is already using a mental health awareness curriculum. It's called Sources of Strength. They have been piecemealing this mental health awareness opportunity for our students and the staff to be educated on what mental health is. And then it also provides a suicide prevention aspect. So we currently have them in 30 schools. This program is being stood up already in 30 schools. What we understand is that we are in a mental health crisis. And so what this will do over the span of 3 years, this will expand this to our middles and high schools over the course of 3 years. Is that okay? Do you have any additional questions?
I don't have any questions. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there are no other questions or comments on item 2.6, we'll move now to 2.5, Coordinators of Office of Family and School Partnerships. Colleagues, do you have any questions on this one?
Vice Chair,
yes.
yeah, I see one hand. Vice Chair Walker.
Thank you so much. My question really is around the reporting structure. I just wanted to know who this person or people report to for this new recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, and in our recommendation, they would report to Ms. Jackson, I believe, but I think it's in Tadjil's organization. We were trying to give assistance.
I'm happy for somebody from the administration to be able to answer that one. No
Oh,
problem.
I thought you wanted to know the intent of the request.
Oh, got you. No, I was there last night.
Request because Ms. Jackson came before us and asked for a whole lot of.
I got it.
And
No worries. I appreciate it.
We were asking the chief of communication to do is to allocate 2 of those positions that she has requested for that office.
Got you. Thank you so much.
Now she can answer the question of who's going to supervise them because, Judy don't know. Go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question, Vice Chair. I have Dr. Sheila Jackson on the call. who can answer that.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I would just like to say that while I'm honored that these positions have been offered, when I testified, I was very clear that we did not need additional positions for family engagement because we have 87 parent engagement assistants in schools. Coordinators, we've never had in our department. They are a central office position. So I was really kind of unclear about what the amendment is about. A coordinator is not a school-based position. It is a central office position. It's usually salaried at almost the specialist level. So, just politically correctly, I just wanted to say that it's not a position that's really in alignment with the work that we do in our department.
Okay, so then my question would, I'll go back to Vice Chair Walker, because then I have to give it to you, Vice Chair Walker, to ask a question. Go ahead.
No worries. You can go right after me. The question then is for the sponsor of this one here. Can we take the advice of Dr. Sheila or the input from Dr. Sheila Jackson, who is over this department, and recognize that these are duplicative, or was there anything additional that the sponsor wanted to add? That's my question. Thank you so much.
Then since I'm one of the sponsors and Dr. Harris is the other sponsor, we were trying to build capacity, especially for partnerships within, because I understand that you're over, Dr. Jackson, that you're over the partnership piece of Prince George's County Public Schools now. And in looking at that and recognizing as we go out into this community, folks want partnerships. So if you're telling us tonight that you have enough folks in your office already and that you do not need any assistance for that piece, then I'm okay with it, if you're okay with it.
I'm okay with it. We have a very skilled team, and they build ambassadors in the community that help us with the work. So no, we don't need that in that department. I know that there were other positions within our division that were needed because we really want to amplify the work that our system is doing in all areas. So I defer back to Chief Patel on that. But thank you all. I do want to say thank you for thinking about us, but we are truly we're small but mighty team in family and community partnerships. So we do appreciate you looking out for us.
Okay, before I go to my co-partner, Dr. Harris, I will ask Ms. Patel.
Yes, ma'am.
The position, how many positions have you requested?
I believe I have requested 6 positions.
6 positions, and can you share with us now what they're for?
1 graphic designer, because we currently have 1 for a district this size. So adding capacity for a graphic designer who designs our flyers, promotional materials. Also adding 2 multimedia producers. Those would be in our multimedia team. Those are our videographers who, a lot of the videos that you see that are produced on our YouTube page, on our social media. So for example, the fentanyl PSAs, the news breaks, that would add capacity in that area. But right now we have 2 that are capable of doing that. Adding a language access liaison to our OIT, our Office of Interpreting and Translation, which would be for Farsi Pashto for our Afghani refugees that were having a growing population. And I believe 1 social media specialist to grow our social media team to make sure that we are being able to put information out on social media, as we know that is where a lot of our community gets their information from.
Okay, my final comment, then I'll go to Ms. Dr. Harris. I will support Vice Chair's ask of the superintendent looking at all of the 300 positions, which yours are 10 of, and to see if there are any economies of scale. Okay, Dr. Harris.
Chief Patel, did you mention interpretation and translation services as to the FTEs?
Yes, board member, we put in a request for a language access liaison specifically for the Farsi Pashto language.
Got it. No, I'm good. If you like it, I love it. Chair Mickens-Murray.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Walker.
Thank you so much. Superintendent House. Hi, I see you now. I just want to be very clear on my ask for 2.2, my additional FTE assessment. I have blocked off some that I'm really particularly looking for your input on. Some of them are within the communications office. While I do believe that we have a need for a lot of different communications, I'd like to see us be able to look at some of the opportunities that we talked about yesterday, such as leveraging interns to reduce our costs and be able to push out content in a feasible direction. But this would be one of the departments that I'm specifically going to be looking at when you do the FTE assessment. I just want to make sure I was clear on my ask for 2.2.
We're clear.
Does that
And
make
it
Okay,
does
thank
make
you so
sense.
much.
And
Superintendent House? Superintendent House? You want to say something? Superintendent.
I do.
Okay.
I appreciate it. So I was going to say, Mrs. Howell, this may be an opportunity to share, and I don't know if this is the 18 FTEs that we discussed, but we can provide additional information specifically about it at a later time if needed.
Thank you so much. And just to close out this one right here, this wasn't the 18 because I was coming to that soon, but I recognize that Dr. Davis is here as well. And so hers was the other 18 I was looking at as well, just for some opportunities in there for continuous improvement. So thank you so much. But I just wanted to call out communications. Thank you.
Okay, so based on the conversation that we just had, Dr. Harris, if you're okay, I'm okay, we'll pull this one.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. We'll discuss it under 2.2 with Vice Chair Walker.
Exactly, thank you.
Thank you. We can.
Go ahead, Chair.
All right. So colleagues, we're going to move forward to 2.8, safe passage coordinators. Are there any questions on this amendment? I'm sorry, any discussion?
I see no hands. So move on.
Thank you. We're moving on to item 2.9, which is environment quality supervisor. Colleagues, is there any discussion? I see one hand, Board Member Boozer-Strother.
I have already asked this question, so if it was already understood by administration or the maker of the amendment.
I think
jump in.
I think Chief Boyd had her hand up to answer you.
For 2.11, Madam Chair?
Was it
just for 2.9? I don't think anyone raised their hand, but if Vice Chair, Board Member Harris, if you could provide some color to this, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, we're talking about 2.9, correct?
Yes, environment quality supervisor.
Sure thing. I know Dr. Coleman's here. I don't know if he wants to speak a bit about the water quality initiative that was put into the FY25 budget, and then I'll talk a bit about how the amendment expands upon that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Board Member. The school system administration is committed, as you know, to providing safe drinking water in compliance with the EPA mandates. To support this effort, building services actually requested through this year's budget process to add a water quality specialist. This position would oversee the mandatory water quality testing that has to occur every 3 years in each of our facilities. This amendment looks to expand the scope of that position to also include air quality. In addition to that, we have aligned additional funding under contracted services to assist with this air quality testing and mitigation efforts to the point that Board Member Boozer-Struthers was raised earlier.
Okay, Board Member Boozer-Struthers.
And so what you're saying is that that the position is more of an expansion to manage these large programs that we are planning to do around the testing.
That's exactly right. The water quality specialist was already in the building services budget. This amendment looks to expand the position. So instead of it being strictly water quality, switching the naming convention to environmental quality specialist and including the air quality as a component of the position's responsibility.
All right, great. Thank you so much for clarifying.
Absolutely.
I don't think I need to expound upon that anymore. I think Dr. Coleman did a good job.
Thank you. Chair Adam Stafford.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to item 2.10, Board Communication Director. Colleagues, are there any questions around this amendment? Any discussion?
I do. I wasn't able to raise my
Vice Chair Walker.
I just wasn't able to raise my hand. I'm sorry, guys. Did you call on me?
Yes, Vice Chair.
Oh, awesome. I was like, I couldn't get my hand up. Okay. Chair Adam Stafford, I just think one of the things you said last night was imperative that you might want to share with the public and the folks that didn't make it, was that although this says director, if you just wanted to clarify that public. Thank you.
Sure. This states director, but we have talked with members of the administration, and if you read the administration's responses, we're very open to a collaboration which can leverage interns, local universities, working in a consulting capacity, or hiring a firm for an amount that would be less than any full-time position, just hiring a marketing firm to do the work of publicizing the Board of Education, which would be sending out press releases, working on our social media, supporting an individual board member initiatives, sharing what we're doing in the community and what we're doing collectively as a board. So again, it says director, but we're not looking for a director position. This can be as low as $50,000 to just hire a firm, work with interns, work with local universities to help support the board in reaching its marketing goals. Board Member Boozer Struthers.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think part of where I was having trouble is that when I click on the document titled Board Communications Director, I am getting the budget analyst position description.
Yes, I can clarify that. So yesterday in the responses from the administration, there was a thought that this communications director or the analyst position would be in coordination with the communication position, but we fleshed that out that it actually should be two separate positions or opportunities. When we also talked about in both of those positions, leveraging our local universities, local public policy students or grad students to help fulfill the needs in both of those instances. So, and I think Chief of Staff Boyd can also speak to the separation of those two items and any other points of collaboration we are considering.
Thank you.
Sure. I just want to reiterate the fact that in the responses we echoed what Board Member Adam Stafford just shared, which is that interns, partnerships with community colleges or local universities would be a great opportunity to support the effort. My only concern, or our only concern as an administration, was just the director piece and bringing someone in as an executive. I think we could get someone to support this work at a fraction of what it would cost for a full-time executive. So that was my response. And I can speak to the budget analyst piece separately if you'd like.
Yes, we can speak to that separately. And if we need to change the wording, as the maker of this motion, it really is just board communications, and that can look a variety of different ways.
It would be the desire of the administration.
Yes, I don't have a problem changing that.
I think Board Member Adam Stafford, one of the easiest ways to go about this is to to focus on a set aside financial dollar amount versus the idea of a position.
Yes, and I think, I had mentioned, anywhere from 50 to 70,000 is what I'm comfortable with, and this could be for a small firm working in partnership with local universities or developing an internship program to fulfill the needs of the board in that way. Board Member Briggs.
Can I just include in there, I know there are some independent contractors that are like virtual assistants, and they do, it really makes it like a lot easier to get them to do it versus having to have the inconsistency of an intern. So just wanted to mention that too.
Thank you.
I see no other hands, so move forward.
Okay, so we're going to move forward here. The next item. So now we'll move on to item 2.11. Colleagues, is there any discussion on this item? Board Member Boozer-Strother.
Thank you so much. I'll return to my previous question of clarity on the decision, how the decision, the thoughts about decision making on positions clearly with the, as stated with the legislative agenda, that covers a lot. But as we know, bills are fast moving and you need to move quickly. So the board, speaking as one, would take the time for the board to go through a process to speak as one. And is that which can be quite different in speed of compared to, say, administration and their relationship with their lobbyist. So if I could just hear some thoughts on that. Thank you.
Chief of Staff Boyd, if you'd like to answer, and then I can chime in as well.
Sure. I'll just say that Board Member Boozer-Strother, so the lobbyist, of course, would be for the board and would speak on behalf of the board. What I offered last night is an invitation. I would hope that both the board's lobbyist and our lobbyist team could work together and could collaborate. But this lobbyist firm would be solely for the board to show up and speak on behalf of the collective board when necessary.
Thank you. Board Member Briggs.
Yeah, I had a question about the JD for the actual role, and just given the uniqueness of the fact that the session is like only 3 months, what would that person be doing the other 9 months? And is there some way that we can have like, I heard Chief Boyd affirm. So I just want to get clarity around what exactly.
Chief of Staff Boyd, you feel free to take it away, but I could also answer as well.
Yeah, generally, what happens is you, much like the last position that we were talking about in reference to the communications director, you pay a dollar amount for the year, and that dollar amount covers essentially that 3 months for the lobbying that happens. As I mentioned last night, my last district, we had 4 different companies because sometimes there's a conflict of interest with different organizations and different things. So it's a common theme to see more than one, whether it's one supporting the board, one supporting, administration, but it's good to have a diversified portfolio moving forward.
Okay.
I will add that it's not a full-time FTE. We tap into the resource when we need the resource. That's what I'm understanding. And I think that's what the superintendent put on the table last night to us.
Yes. Thank you.
Can I just interject one last thing? The only thing I wanted to say was with the job description was just hoping that, like, I know that this is pretty fast moving. And if it's a person who has some time in between that 9 months to really prepare and like really understand PGCPS. I mean, being a lobbyist really takes like a lot of content knowledge. You need to know who you are advocating on behalf of and then building those relationships. And so just wanted to name that. I think if we can get that job description, if Board Member Adam Stafford and other supervisors can get that job description together too, to make sure that that's in line with like what the board needs would be really helpful.
Oh, certainly. This would be something that we would do collectively as a board. Right. So this wouldn't just come from me.
Any more comments? Seeing none, let's move forward.
Okay, thank you. So now we're moving on to item 2.12, Operating Budget Review Committee. Are there any questions about this item?
Seeing none, I see one hand. Dr. Zipporah Miller.
Hi, Board Member Adam Stafford. Is this a committee that we could form? I guess I was wondering, because it's in the amendment process, is it something that could just be formed? As a board member, you could just request for the committee to be formed?
Yes, however, I wanted to tie a dollar amount to this. So I think we've had some lessons learned from PCAC, right? That they need funding to often meet and convene. They may need to like have a small caterer if they work together, or they may, may need some materials, like they may need to like do some printing or like some binding of like all of our budgets. And so a very small amount, I think we said like less than $5,000, just so that when we do put this group together and they convene, they have a little bit of leverage to do some of the, like they may need to rent a space, to pull themselves together, just very small so that they can operate. Does that answer your question?
It does, and it makes sense. I was just wondering, could that just be put into the board's operating budget?
Now that is a question I would ask. I believe that is what the suggestion is that this would be part of the board's it would come out of the board's budget, but it would need to go through the amendment process because our budget is part of the larger.
And I would also offer this. I'll come to you in a minute, Vice Chair Walker. I would also offer this. We could put in our policies that certain community committees receive a stipend, whatever that is, if that's another way to deal with that, because we have a lot of committees that come to us with renting space and all of that. So are you okay, Dr. Miller?
Yes, that answered my question. Thank you so much.
Okay, Vice Chair Lolita Walker, and then we'll go to Board Member Boozer Struthers.
Thank you so much. One of the things I thought important that you mentioned last night, Chair Adam Stafford, was that, or maybe it was the superintendent, but there was some collaboration in there about us being able to leverage parents inside of our district who are already, that might be a volunteer opportunity for them, similar to the PCAC, where we can get expertise, thus reducing overall cost, but overall having commitment, I meant to say. So for this amendment here, as board members think about voting on it, I think one of the good things that we talked about last night was how do we leverage the resources that we have that's invested in PGCPS, who are experts inside of budgetary or financial environments that can come and help us to look over the overall budget. Just wanted to add that in there.
Thank you so much. Board Member Boozer Struthers, and then Board Member Briggs.
Thank you so much. And I think I'm just trying to follow if this committee is different than like any board approved ad hoc committee by the chair, that, within our guidelines, it says that once these committees are approved, they receive board office staff and, other operating expenses, not clear on food and beverage, but our board
Good
committee
point.
do. So I think I just want to understand what separates this specific committee from, say, what now exists, like an ad hoc committee that has gone through the board process.
Well, the vision for this committee is that it will be a committee that won't dissolve like an ad hoc committee. It dissolves. This would be a longstanding group that meets year to year. So in our neighboring jurisdictions, for example, in Howard County, their operating budget review committee meets annually, and that's how they're able to build institutional knowledge about the budget. Because board members change, but this group of parents that have this deep knowledge, they're able to stay from year to year and really bring that to the group. And so that's the thought behind really putting some resources behind this group. And also they are going to be working closely with the administration as well, because they'll need to get information from them. They'll be asking for information. So that was the thought, that this would be more than just an ad hoc.
Thank you
And
for
if-
that clarification.
Yes.
Yeah, and if I may add, we were also looking for a skill set within this committee, and it can be parents, but we need also community folks with high level skill sets with financial management and those kinds of things. So that's part of the vision for this committee.
Thank you. Board Member Briggs.
Yeah, I don't want to be redundant. I just want to echo my colleagues that I think leveraging PGCPS's dollars is probably something that I'm hoping this would do, because, for like a PCAC, they could get in-kind donations for food. And that's a very cost-effective way, in saving dollars and really putting those dollars towards the things we need them for. So hoping that the committee would also really think about how to leverage the dollars in really effective ways.
Okay. Seeing no further comments, let's move to the next one. Chromebooks. I think.
Okay, we're moving to
Oh.
item 2.13, which would be Student Chromebook Repair Program, and it's the expansion of that program. Is there any discussion on this item? Okay. Board Member Boozer.
Thank you so much. I just, would like just to hear a little more in clarity about the new expense and how this will expand the student opportunities, and just a little more understanding about the program. Thank you.
If I could for this, Board Member Harris, if you could provide some color to this based on our conversation and the administration's response. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, sure. And I'll tap Dr. Zuckerman to help me with this, but very proud of this amendment. And again, special shout out to co-sponsor Chair Mickens Murray on this, and Dr. Zuckerman and his team for everything that's been working. As you might remember, last year we piloted the Chromebook repair program where our students kicked it off last summer. As of last summer, our students have successfully repaired and triaged over 1,800 Chromebooks. During this current application cycle, but again, Dr. Zuckerman's team has received north of 100 applications from our different schools within the county. This gives them the skill sets to not only interview, but also build their resumes, their CVs, their interviewing skills, ask for letters of recommendation, things like that, the whole package. This amendment seeks to expand it in a rolled out fashion. So instead of doubling and going to an additional 10 schools, we decided to land on 2 for the sake of fiscal responsibility. And I don't know if Dr. Zuckerman, you want to add anything to that if you are here tonight. But again, very proud of this program, very proud of the sponsors and the co-sponsors and what we've done up to this point. Dr. Zuckerman.
Thank you, Board Member Harris. This is Kim Robertson. I'm here on behalf of Dr. Zuckerman this evening. I'm Director of Technology Integration and Support. And thank you all for what you've mentioned. The additional funding is to expand the program in 2 additional schools. So it will cover the student's salary for their after-school work in the program, in addition to an adult supervisor in the program. Board Member Harris has done a fantastic job of explaining essentially what has happened so far. We're excited again. I checked today, we have 177 student applicants who are interested in this program. So we're excited to get them going and hopefully to expand the program beyond the 10 schools that we've identified for this year.
Thank you, Ms. Robertson. Thanks for being here tonight. Hopefully that answers your question, Board Member Boozer-Struthers.
Yes, definitely. Thank you all so much.
Any more questions? Seeing none. Okay.
I don't know if you want to add anything, co-sponsor. I don't know if you want
Oh,
to.
no, I think you covered it all. Thanks so much.
All right, we'll move on now to 2.16, Teacher Academy of Maryland. Colleagues, do we have any questions or discussion on this item? I see Board Vice Chair Lolita Walker.
Thank you so much. If after this, you can go back to 2.15, which was also pulled. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did you have any comment on this one, or did you want to hold? Okay, thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Board Member Rao.
Did I miss something? Did we skip over 2.14?
Okay, let me stop you.
Sure.
Mr. Fitzpatrick, our director, please. Are we still in the block group?
Yes, ma'am. We're in the block. 2.14 and 2.15 were pulled, so they will be discussed after the block.
Thank you. So
Understood.
we're still in the block.
Okay, we're
So
still
what's
in the
next
block.
for the block?
Yeah, so those two items will be discussed separately.
Correct.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, everybody. So we're moving into 2.16, which is the Teacher Academy of Maryland.
I see no hands. So we can move forward.
And we're on our last one here, Director Fitzpatrick, I have 2.18. Is that what you have next? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so 2.18, this is the Board of Education Budget Analyst position. College, do we have any questions on this?
Seeing no questions, I think we are finished with the discussion and we're ready for the vote.
Thank you.
We're voting for Mr. Fitzpatrick. Can you tell us one more time the amendments that we're voting on in this block?
Yes, Madam Chair. In the block, we have 2.3, 2.4, 2.6, 2.8, 2.9, 2.10. I believe there was a friendly amendment to set aside $50,000 to $100,000 for the communications rather than an FTE. 2.11, 2.12, 2.13, 2.16, and 2.18.
Thank you. And Mr. Fitzpatrick, instead of 2.3, it should be 2.2. Did you have that as well?
I had 2.2 pulled, but I stand.
What is 2.2? Additional FTE assessment. Did we talk about that?
In the block, that we did speak on that in the block.
We did. Okay.
Okay. All right. And 2.3 should be pulled. Okay.
Pulled, period. We're
Pulled,
not.
period. Right.
Right.
So is everyone clear on the ones we're voting on in the block? Okay.
Okay.
We've had discussion. Okay. So Chair, I know that the maker of the motion was Board Member Harris, and I seconded it. So if you want to go ahead and
Yes,
follow.
so we had discussion we've completed.
Board Member Walker has her hand up. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Thank you so much. Just the friendly amendment for Mr. Fitzpatrick for the clarity that was around additional FTE assessment. I think Superintendent House is very clear, but I know that you made the notation for another one. I specifically called out 2 departments. He's going to do the entire assessment, but specifically I would be looking for communications and oh my gosh, what's Dr. Davis's school accountability?
Well, I think you have an opportunity to clarify all of that. We're just your amendment it includes all of that.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Lopez, could you please call the roll? All those in favor, that means these amendments pass. Those opposing, it means it does not pass. So Ms. Lopez, please call the roll.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Ms. Booster Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Aye.
Dr. Juanita Miller,
Aye.
Dr. Zipporah Miller,
Aye.
Mr. David Moore, Mrs. Rout,
Aye.
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Ms. Mickens Murray.
Aye. We have 10 votes in the affirmative and none in opposed. The motion carries to approve all of the designated amendment numbers included in the block. And Mr. Fitzpatrick, you will provide us with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, colleagues, for engaging in a robust discussion. We're now going to move to the amendments that were pulled for discussion. I'm going to ask Mr. Fitzpatrick to assist in reading out those amendments, and then I will make the formal motion.
So the ones that are being pulled out for discussion are 2.1, 2.2, 2.5, 2.7, 2.14, 2.15, 2.17. And 2.3 was pulled, not for discussion.
Okay, you went too fast for me. Go over them again. 2.1, 2.2, 2.5.
2.7,
Mm-hmm.
2.14,
1.4, okay.
2.15,
Okay,
and 2.17.
and 2.17. All right. Do you have them, Chair Adam Stafford?
I believe I have them right. 2.1, 2.2, 2.5, 2.7, 2.14, 2.15, and 2.17.
Yes.
Board Member Rout, did you have a point of information?
Yes, I do. I sent in a correspondence. I spoke with the administration. I spoke with the superintendent, and some of his staff today. I was trying to, so it's being pulled, meaning.
I'm sorry, I do want to revisit that. So earlier in our conversation today, the maker of this amendment, Ms. Board Member Rout, has asked to withdraw 2.7. So that should not be pulled for discussion, so I need to correct the record. Board Member Rout, was that what you were getting ready to
Yes,
say?
thank you so much,
Thank you,
Chair.
no problem. Okay, so let me just go back. So that leaves us with,
Chair Adam Stafford, we also need to pull 2.5 because after this discussion, we determined that we can.
yes, we did determine that. Okay, great, thank you. So we're at 2.1, 2.2, 2.14, 2.15, and 2.17.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And just for my understanding for Board Member Walker and I, for 2.3, Superintendent House, we will have a separate discussion on this. Okay, Board Member, Vice Chair Walker, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Just for clarification, thank you for saying that. That was one I was going to pull out. So I appreciate that discussion piece right there. Did the Superintendent House confirm? I don't see him anymore. Oh, there he is.
That he will.
Yes, he did. Thank you very much. You moved on my screen. The other piece is I did get additional information early on. I had made note to Superintendent House, who I know is all over it, about the two specific departments. And so I did get information that some of those ads are as related to ESSER funds being now gone. And so we need those. And so I do understand it. I just wanted to say that for the public. And so as you do the assessment, if you just make note of that, I think that that's absolutely fine. It'll help with the explanation. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Board Member Rout.
Thank you so much, Chair Adam Stafford. For the purposes of the public, for full transparency, I wanted to explain, as the budget amendment sponsor, why I'm choosing to pull to
withdraw.
Thank you so much for the clarity, for helping me. About the secretarial recommendations. As I spoke today with Dr. Baldwin and Superintendent House, they really worked with me to understand the fiscal note that would that we cannot afford with this change. Just with all of everything that we're facing, although school accounting secretaries being added, I mean, it is important. Okay, so I just want to go on the record to say, I hope the next board will be looking at this when we are in a better fiscal climate. But the superintendent's proposed budget will allow for 2 secretarial positions at every school, which is a school sec 1, that's a grade 13, and a school sec 2, which is a grade 15. So currently how it is schools have to buy with their funds that they have to buy a secretary. So some schools may have a 10 month, some schools may have 11 months, some schools, But the superintendent's proposed budget will place a school sec 1 and a school sec 2 at all of our schools. And so I think this is a great effort. So he realized, him and his team realized that there was a gap. And so I just want to applaud Superintendent and Dr. Baldwin for really doing this. But it is my hope that the next board really looks at this, because we may be able to afford it soon. Thank you so much. I yield.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for those clarifying points. So we're going to move forward now. We are going to, excuse me, sorry. Excuse me. We are now going to move forward to the amendments that were pulled for discussion. That would be amendments 2.1, 2.2, 2.14, 2.15, and 2.17. So we're going to begin. So I move to approve amendment 2.1. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so now the floor is open for discussion on amendment 2.1, which is bullying support, prevention, and intervention. Okay, thank you. Board Member Briggs, you have the floor.
Yes, if the sponsor can just share more, I missed this one, and so I would just love to learn more about the bill or the proposal.
Sure. I'm going to try to be really, I'm going to try to be really brief, and I'm going to try to talk about this, and Board Member Briggs, this is something that I brought out to policy and governance, and it actually was birthed out of the conversation that the team brought in. And basically, we learned a lot about bullying and where we are with the admin procedure and the policies. But in that, I just want to underscore that bullying affects everyone. Students who are bullied in the short term could experience negative social, emotional, or academic issues. In the long term could lead to depression, mental and physical health issues, definitely decreased academic achievement, and then could lead to dropping out of school. Those are the students who are bullied. Then the students who engage in the bullying behavior, it impacts them because they may then divert to substance abuse, get into fights, violent behavior, and this is all research-based. The inability to positively handle relationships, they drop out of school. Students who are witnessing bullying also may experience mental health issues, they miss school, and could engage in substance abuse. This is all research-based. In essence, bullying, which includes cyberbullying, creates an unhealthy learning environment for many, the students, the staff, and the staff in the building. But that said, we walked through in the Policy and Governance Committee the aggressive approach and steps that Prince George's County Public Schools has taken to address bullying, from prevention, intervention, restoration. However, we're still seeing numbers of bullying incidents that continue to happen. We receive numerous calls of bullying incidents. Bullying incidents are happening particularly in the middle schools, and we heard that in the presentation, that's where the numbers continue to rise. So the question is why? We have these interventions in place. Why are these numbers continuing to increase? So what is happening is, as the numbers increase, we are creating environments where students are not present or ready to learn. And it's also disrupting other students' learning environment and the staff. So that all being said, I'm asking that we currently have 2 staff members who work on these initiatives. These staff members, we also learned, that have other responsibilities, not just necessarily addressing bullying. This position would be necessary, as we asked with the team, dedicated to the middle school, so that we can start seeing that these programs are implemented with fidelity, to start addressing the increased number of bullying, to provide job-embedded staff development.
Dr. Miller, your time has expired, and we still don't have it. I mean, if that answers this question.
Yeah, I just wanted to know.
I was trying to be concise with where I was going, and sorry, it led me back. But
you were very passionate, and
yes,
I really appreciate it. But the thing is, I just want to know how it connects to the budget. So are these two roles and are they like staff roles or what's the, just, I wanted to know the practical
The
piece.
coordinator for 40.
Okay, sorry, sorry. It's one position. It's adding one position, and this position would be dedicated to looking at or supporting the middle school. So this is not someone who would be just overseeing. They'll be hands-on, boots on the ground, going to the different middle schools, actually assessing what is happening there, what are the challenges that the teachers, the staff, or individuals engaging
Got it. Yeah, got it.
to address that hands-on, do the PD.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. I think.
I agree.
Board Member Briggs, okay, thank you. Your question has been answered.
Thank you, thank you.
We will go to Board Member Jocelyn Rout.
Yes, thank you. So I did not support this yesterday because I do feel equally if we have one person that's doing all of this train the trainer work, we also need to have someone equally working with our middle schoolers, being able to do some restorative practices. Would you be willing to add the other make it two for two positions with this?
Absolutely.
One for the trainer, and then another one for specifically for that restorative practice piece. We can't have one without the other because it's not going to work. We can train people all day long. We can talk to them all day long about bullying, but until when it does happen, we need people to come in and do an intervention.
So
I would like to
I was just going to answer Board Member Rout's question and say absolutely. I was trying to couple that so that they can work together in the office, but I would be absolutely amenable to adding another position. This is very important to me.
It's important to it. This is too. We have children that have testified in front of us that have stated how the bullying has affected them, and they have been younger than middle school. So I do think that this is a step in the right direction, but we cannot have this without an intervention. Thank you, Dr. Miller. Thank you so much.
No,
Okay.
I would be willing to, unless I wanted the staff to couple it with what they already have in place to do both ends of it, but this will make it much easier on the staff. And I would rather see this be the intervention happen in middle school so that when they get to the high school, this is not an issue. They've already learned their self-regulation skills. I need to stop because you could tell how passionate I am about this.
Yes, you are, Dr. Miller. So I see Dr. Davis's hand up, but what I will ask you, Dr. Davis, because you might need to answer all the questions that are left. So we have Board Member Boozer Struthers, we have Board Member LaSalia Frazier. I'm going to LaSalia Frazier first, if you don't mind, Board Member Boozer Struthers, because she hasn't spoken tonight. And then we also have Chair Shayla Adams Stafford. So if you could give us some patience, Dr. Davis, I would appreciate that. So we'll go to you, Board Member LaSalia Frazier.
Thank you, Chair Higgins-Murray. My question was around the money that's allocated. You initially had said it was for one position, and you envisioned this person to be a trainer. Would this be under what classification would this FTE be?
I left it as a professional position and I wanted to leave it at the discretion of the director because I don't want us to be in a position where we're top heavy. And I really would like this to be an individual who's going from school. They need to be in the schools to see what's happening and to help the staff because the goal is to empower the staff so that they can be able to work with the students. So I left it could be a specialist or coordinator's position, but I left it at the discretion of the director. Great question.
Thank you. So we'll go.
I have a follow-up question, Ms.
Go ahead.
And so under the friendly amendment that Board Member Rout is offering, will the $214,000 cover the two positions or are we requesting additional funds?
I think we'll need to go back and see if that would cover two positions because originally it was one position and I was keeping in mind that when you add a position, you also need a new computer, you need a new office space, you need materials. So I was trying to couple that. So it may be something we need to rework.
Thank you.
Are you good? Okay, very good. We'll go to Board Member Boozer Strother.
Thank you so much, Chair Mickens Murray, and thank you, Miller, for this budget amendment. I just wanted to speak in support and noting the climate and culture survey data with for our equity strategic plan. The data is not, we see why this need is here with 43% of students feeling safe at school. Parents at 71% think of the safe school environment. So there's a gap there that we need to work on. So that's one data point for this new role. And when asked specifically about bullying and harassment, students most frequently report bullying on the basis of physical appearance and race, ethnicity. Again, another data point of focusing the alignment of what the data is saying for the new position, because I do want to say that for the year, I've been on the board for 5 years, and I've had a lot of interaction and reports from the anti-bullying efforts, disproportionality efforts, and restorative practices, that has been at the, national standards of this work, but under-resourced as we've been talking about globally, an under-resourced system. And these are exactly areas that why we are fighting for full funding and the blueprint and equitably funded system all the time, because these are exactly the areas why we need unrestricted revenue to apply where these gaps are. So I want to say that the student-focused, data-driven information we have, that this is a very important amendment. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to Board Member Adam Stafford, then to Vice Chair Walker.
Hi, thank you so much. One of the reasons last night I did abstain from this, only because I wanted to see if Dr. Miller could work closely with Dr. Davis. It sounds like you all have had some conversations since yesterday, which is fantastic, just about capacity building in the restorative work. In my work in doing this across the country, the fastest way to build capacity and to ensure implementation in a district this size is really to empower existing programs and help build that skill level at the school level. Because like you said, Dr. Miller, we need folks in schools, right, to see what is happening. And so I'm wondering, as we talk about two positions and sort of splitting this funding up, would we be willing to take whatever funding we were thinking about for the restorative coordinator and possibly just, infusing that into our restorative practice program? This is an amendment that I put forward for several years, just taking some of that funding to take our restorative practice program and expanding it, giving them more training, pulling more educators into the program in hotspots, areas where we're finding instances of bullying happening more frequently. I'm just asking, if you are open to flexibility around, whatever work we do around restorative practice, just really emboldening what is already existing. Because I know that is a small team that we have within the district, and they can use every resource that they could get. They may not need another coordinator, but they may just need more funding to expand their work. And that's all I'm asking.
I think you had read the amendment, and it was included in terms of building capacity. What I would like to do, though, the friendly amendment to add the second position was Board Member Rout. So I'll give her the autonomy to respond to that. But what I would like to do is to work with the team to lower the fiscal note so that we can be fiscally responsible, so it's not as high as what we have over there. So I'm definitely going to do that. So yes, the answer is yes.
Very fine, Dr. Miller. I'm okay with what Board Member Adam Stafford. I just know that I definitely agree with Board Member Adam Stafford. That restorative practice is small. That team is small, and they respond to everything, like breakout fights, everything.
Thank you, guys. So we need to go to Vice Chair Walker. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Emma, okay, thank you so much. I'll just double down on that one right there. I just thank you, Dr. Miller, for introducing this in a collaboration that's coming. My suggestion or desire is for you to work back with Dr. Davis. I'm so glad that you all have already started, and take the information that you've heard here, particularly the small team with restorative practices, the amount of fiscal note, which I'm very concerned about, and really come up with a plan that's gonna meet all our needs. I'm more than happy with what you guys come up with for that dollar amount. Thank you so much.
Now, Dr. Davis.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. So first of all, I just want to say that we are as equally passionate about prevention and intervention around bullying, restorative practices. So I appreciate your advocacy and support around this. We do have Dr. Faison here, so I just want to give her a minute to discuss some of the things that are going on around this currently. And I know she also would be in support of this. And I will say to you, the only reason we haven't asked for something like this, because we really truly were trying to prioritize around our ask, because we knew a lot was being asked across the different departments. And I really have been trying to think about a 3-year plan around transformation and continuous improvement. So I'll kick it to Dr. Faison. Thank you. But thank you all.
Good evening, everybody. Just as Dr. Davis said, I do appreciate the advocacy, and our team most recently poured over the bullying data, and it is our work every single day. I did just want to speak to just some of the things that our system is doing and what our thinking is around interventions in supporting all of our schools and seeing the culture and climate in all of our schools move. When we talk about bullying, we really are talking about, student behavior and their inability, right, to make, the types of relationships that they need to problem solve, the decision making, as well as just the self-awareness and social awareness of others. And what we've done to really try to help every single student is invest in social emotional learning. And you all have heard, us really talk about that, but we have most recently moved that not just with teaching students or having counselors have those lessons with students, but investing through some of our grants in our universities, training our teachers and them earning graduate credits and certifications and how to infuse right in every single classroom, which is where we're going. And those teachers being able to move the needle, have increased culture and climate that yields those positive learning environments for all of our students. And so teachers are also learning how to manage their classroom and manage student behavior. And by way of what counselors are doing, students are learning how to problem solve. They're learning the impact of their actions on other students. As was referenced earlier, we do have a director, Dr. Tisa Holly, who came on and really took this bullying work, this bull by the horns, around monitoring the data, reaching out to principals, as well as holding these technical assistance sessions with schools that includes interventions so that schools know what are appropriate interventions and then what is not. And just because an instance is not considered bullying under the definition that is prescribed by the state, it doesn't mean that we want students to behave in a way that is disruptive, that creates unsafe learning environments and fear, right? This feeling of just not being safe in our classrooms. So really giving those interventions to our counselors, to our principals, to security, as well as other staff who deal with that. And then we meet every single month with the state. There's a team of 3 of us who are on that meeting every single month, and we are able to collaborate with other LEAs across the state to hear what they're doing as it relates to this work. I just did want to reference that we've added a number of staff members, and as Board Member Miller referenced, they're not standalone and solely dedicated to this work, but we have pulled in and our administrative assistants, our director, our supervisor of student engagement and support. I also support the work from time to time. And then through our Title IV grant, we have a staff member who works second assignment to help support the management and reporting as it pertains to bullying. Restorative approaches was referenced earlier, and I agree. Robin McNair is a small team of one, and she has been working with the International Restorative Practices Institute to provide additional layer of training beyond her arm's reach to do that for the county. And so I just did want to talk about some of the things that we're doing right now, some of the resources that we have, and the way that we're really looking at moving the needle as it relates to student behavior. If one person could be sent to all middle schools and turn it around, we'd love to see that happen. But we know that it's going to take everybody really in the building having the tools, the knowledge, the understanding, and the wherewithal that they need to build, even our adults, our teachers, our coaches, building positive relationships with our students so that our students feel comfortable that when they see something, they can say something. And so I just wanted to talk about how we're, just some of the things. So I'll pause.
We appreciate that, Dr. Faison. And for housekeeping, ladies of the board, could you please run the clock for answers to our questions? Thank you. Board Member Out, I'm sorry, Board Member Vice Chair Walker, second round, then Board Member Out. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Dr. Miller, I am in support of this bill. Dr. Bill, I'm so sorry, the policy, amendment, okay?
Yeah.
Dr. Faison, thank you for acknowledging that while we are targeting middle school, that this is something that really could be a trainer that goes long-term in our future years. I'm a parent of a scholar who was bullied in first grade. And what I will tell you is that it is physically draining, it's emotionally draining, it's psychologically draining for the parent and the scholar. So this one right here, I'm really tapped into because it really affects our scholars long-term. I'm 5 years from that point and still dealing with what happened in first grade. And so we just I'm here for making sure that we have a collaborative effort and ensuring that while the numbers say middle school, that we also train the trainer so it gets to our other programs in high school where we're seeing videos come out all the time and in our elementary schools where it seems to start. So thank you so much for the efforts.
Thank you, Board Member Out.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Walker. I empathize with you as a parent of 4 and 2 children that have special needs. This is something that happens to personally to my child too. But my concern is when it's bullying-ish, right? Then it doesn't qualify in that bullying lane. But I know Dr. Faison will still deploy. But in my opinion, my professional opinion, we need more boots on the ground for that restorative, because that restorative practice can wrap around and really continue to work. So yes, I definitely agree with you. So my question too now is, Dr. Faison, how can we do this with this person, middle school, that's going to help? But then we also need this restorative practice thing. We got 9 seconds, 8, 7.
Okay, Ms. Rout, but I also understand that this was your third round. If we didn't vote for it, I need help. The ladies are trying to help me here. So is that something that she can answer you later and we can move on? And
Absolutely. I'm just trying to get us to where we need to be, because I'm not
where
settled.
we need to be, but we just keep asking questions. Okay, we're going to Board Member Madeline Asalia Frazier. And hold on a minute. Dr. Zipporah Miller, I think this is like you would be your third round too. So we're going to.
No, it's not my third round. I was just, no. I had one round and everybody was shooting questions at me, but it wasn't my round. I was answering their questions.
Okay, I stand corrected. So let's go to Board Member LaSalia Frazier.
Okay, first of all, I want to say, as a licensed clinical social worker, I am very passionate about this topic. I am convinced that we need to do more. I'm going to do a quick shout out to one of my schools, the French Immersion Program in District 8. They have the best restorative room that I have seen throughout my career. And the reason why I bring them up is because I believe that that is key in having restorative rooms like that, peace rooms in every school. In addition to that, I wonder when I hear Dr. Faison talking about the need for capacity building, and I heard you loud and clear when you said that you're almost questioning whether this one person can do all that we need, right? I'm wondering if this money would then be best utilized, and I'm not saying that I'm not in agreement with you, Dr. Miller, but would allocating this funding for capacity building in the schools would be a way to do it, or should we have other pathways for this? I'm just wondering, because I know that one person is a tall order for one person, even two people. So I'm just wondering how to best utilize funding.
Okay, and before I come to you, Ms. Faison, I'm going to Dr. Board Member Miller, Z. Miller.
So I think we're
Gonna
all,
ask everything once. Go ahead.
I just want to be clear. I believe you're saying the same thing.
Right.
This individual is not going and saying, they're doing the restorative practice so that we can get the students to understand how they can self-manage, how they can build healthy behaviors in how to respond. That's the whole goal. And you're correct. One person is not enough. I can have 5 positions. I wanted one in every school, but I know that that's not feasible. I know that that's not feasible. This is about restorative practices. And I wrote it inside the amendment, and I was hoping it was in there. So this is about expanding the work that's there. Dr. Faison, I really appreciate you going back and talking through the plethora of resources and programs that you have in place with the SEL, you have a lot of preventative measures. This is more so saying, yes, we have students who are being bullied, and we want to make sure that they feel safe when they come back to school, and they have the necessary supports when they come back. But we also want to look at the students who's exhibiting or engaging in bullying behavior and saying, how do we work with you so that we can create a space for you so that you know what healthy behaviors look like? Because something is also happening with them. So it's about the whole child on both ends, so it can make a safe place for everybody. So we're starting somewhere, and the majority of the time I was mentioning was job embedded professional learning, which means building capacity.
Thank you so much, Ms. Faison. Before I come to you, I'm going to Board Member Adam Stafford, because you might be able to answer her question too.
Yeah, and I think it's time for us to move to the vote on this, and I'm wondering, Board Member Miller, would you be open to just broadening this to just say expansion of restorative practices for bullying and prevention, so that the administration can kind of use the funding as they see fit? You know, they may find that, you know, in order to make this go fast and far, they need to bring in a firm that has 20 people, and they can go do 20 trainings at once, like all over the district. And that way we can train a bunch of people. We can still use the funding for restorative work, but it can take what they've already started and kind of multiply it. But like, that's just one example. But would you be open to just broadening this to allow the administration to use the funding as it sees fit for this particular topic, whether that's a position or, you know, just broadening it to say expansion of restorative practice for bullying prevention?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Board Member Miller to restate her motion anyway.
Okay.
Since all of the conversation.
Because we keep going round, and I don't want to do the work of the school administration. What I do want to pose that this is about bullying and bullying prevention, addressing the bullying that's happening, but more so, this was grounded in prevention, which includes restorative practices. So, Dr. Faison, I want to pitch it to your team, because you will know what best fits in terms of ensuring that we can grow and prevent bullying. Because I don't want to get into the work of doing the work of administration. You are the experts. So I want to put it in your plate. The passion, you see where we are. We both and the board members agree, bullying is there. We do want bullying to be addressed, but we more so want students to be able to self-manage and create a safe learning space for all. So that's where we are. So I'm not even sure how to restate the motion, but I'm going to try.
Thank you.
I am going to try. And it is to provide resources in the Division of Student Services to address bullying, to include programs and practices for intervention, prevention, and restoration.
Okay, we have the motion. Is there any more discussion?
I'll second
Your
it.
hand is still up.
I'm seconding it. Sorry.
Okay, okay, that's fine. So, seeing there's no more discussion, Ms. Lopez, please call for the vote.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris, Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Aye.
Dr. Juanita Miller,
Aye.
Dr. Sipora Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Murray, Mrs. Rout,
Aye.
Ms. Walker, Mrs. Mickens-Murray.
Aye. I have 11 votes in the affirmative, no votes in the negative. The motion carries to give whatever that motion says.
Thank you. I will now move to approve Amendment 2.2. The amendment is additional FTE assessment.
Second.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this amendment?
I see no discussion, so Ms. Lopez, please call roll. To approve amendment.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier, Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Aye.
Dr. Juanita Miller,
Aye.
Dr. Sipora Miller,
Aye.
Mrs. Rout,
I vote aye.
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Mrs. Mickens-Murray.
Aye. There are 11 votes in the affirmative and none in the negative. The motion carries to approve amendment 2.2.
Thank you. I will now move to approve Amendment 2.14
is what I have. You went on mute, Sharon.
I'm sorry, and that is continuation of special education outreach and engagement. May I
Is
have
there-
a second?
Is there any,
Second.
okay. Is there any discussion? It's been moved and seconded to approve
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Who
Yes.
seconded?
of Board Member Rout.
Thank
Okay, is there any it's been moved and seconded to approve amendment 2.14. Is there any discussion? I see Dr. Zipporah Miller.
Hi. I can't remember which board member's amendment this was.
Jocelyn Rout.
Oh, Board Member Rout. I was reading this. I was really excited about this yesterday, and I was reading the administrator's response, and I recognized that they said they are already doing it. So I wanted to get some clarification from the administration in terms of
Yeah.
what is happening with this.
Okay, I will let the administration answer that question. Ms. Bowen, are you trying?
Yes.
You can answer? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'll answer that, Board Member Miller. So we did put in our response that we do believe that this is duplicate. Based on the pilot that we did do with the ARC, there were a lot of enhancements that we have made based on that pilot by increasing year-round services for our staff to provide support to parents. We have several parent liaisons now that we are working to help support parents through the application process. We also have built a business intelligence tool that now allow us to monitor the application process, which was not in place before the pilot. So based on the pilot that we already had with the ARC and the lessons learned and the enhancements that we've made, we did increase, again, staffing to support parent outreach that wasn't there before, as well as increase some staff members from 10 months to 11 months and added a parent liaison position.
Board Member Zipporah Miller, does that answer your question?
It does. So I guess I was going to ask Board Member Rout if it is already in place. Would we still need the amendment at 4?
Yes. Yeah,
Board Member Rout.
I was able to speak to the executive director, Mr. Malone. Also did speak to Superintendent House today. Unfortunately, I just don't think that, I don't feel that the information that was shared with me provides the gap, and I'll use my time to respond.
I was recognizing you, Ms. Rout. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair. So I don't want to duplicate anything, and I think I want to be very fiscally responsible. But we have to recognize what the ARC does for the disability community. They are the selected nonprofit provider that provides support at the county level to adults with disabilities. They are already doing that work, and they know what's best and how to be able to maneuver. And frankly, we've had these transition services built into the IEPs forever. And how we got to this is because the district did not do a great job. I will say, I have a student with autism. He was not provided these services at his last IEP. So I don't know about support to parents, liaison, business intelligence tool, staffing for parent outreach, liaison parent position. We still need to see if we can be able to do this without the ARC. I don't think that on the backs of individuals with disabilities, this is a small bucket in the grand scheme of things. The fiscal note is $350,000. And I think that this investment is worth our while for our children that have special education needs. I did want to highlight that the district did insert in an MOU, as it was reported by Dr. Baldwin and Superintendent House, to help with the workforce aspect of it. But that's not what this is speaking to, because I did talk to Executive Director Malone after I talked to the superintendent, and that MOU is just for the partnership. There is no financial support that goes behind being able to provide workforce development to some of our students that have disabilities that maybe will take a food service or something like that. So I just request your support today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Board Member Pamela Boozer-Strother.
Thank you so much. I'm going to speak in support of this from a couple of different angles. One is to reiterate what colleague Rout has said about the ARC's role in Prince George's County. It is one of the most significant nonprofits supported across the board, but by the county and the county budget, and is a major partner through the life of Prince Georgians. There's this period of transition, and and I do want to say to our special education division and employees who work on this, that at times when board members see an opportunity for nonprofit partnership, it is just absolutely not a criticism of the work. It is filling the gap. And as I spoke to bullying, filling the gap on bullying, this is an area where I think I am concerned that just more resources are needed, and the nonprofit experts are often brought in to fill those resources. And I think we see such an economic benefit of this period of a young person's life going successfully, the economic benefit of getting that paperwork right, of having a case manager to ensure that the funds come to that individual, working with our Latino population, with culturally sensitive and speakers of the language, and not to say that we don't have the interpretation services that is just embedded in that expertise of this nonprofit, which I have seen work deep in the community and partnering with us. And so I see this as that full cycle of economics of funding the funding and the goals of the blueprint. I'm not saying this is blueprint funding. I'm saying it's that future goal that these are resources that we bring into the school system, and we partner, and those resources stay in our county in that critical economic cycle for this population. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If you don't mind,
Superintendent Howe?
if you don't mind, real quick, one of the things that I think Trinell was getting at, and I know that Dr. White, who I think is on as well, our Chief Academic Officer, these are supports that have recently been put in place. As I see it, this definitely would be a duplication of services, but I also want to understand whether this is something that I hear board members specifically talking about for organization, or are we talking about an RFP to look at the support for the services? I think there's a designation we need to hear and make here and understand whether there's a designation of financial support to support the services, or are we kind of pointing the finger towards a particular organization here?
Board Member Rout first, second round, and Pamela Boozer-Strother, second round.
Yeah, what I'm simply asking is for us to expand the pilot program one more year so that we can definitely see and understand, looking at the district's upgrades that they made to the special education system and process, and really having the organization that will compete for this service for these 4 things. I do think that that's fair. And then we could look at the data afterwards to see, okay, let's look, and we could have these measures in our agreement. And at the end of the second phase of the pilot, then we could be able to look.
Thank you. Board Member Boozer-Strother?
Yeah, well, and I actually brought this up last year, that the board cannot, but our budget cannot specify the recipient. Like, we cannot say the ARC in the budget. Like, that is absolutely correct. But I think what Board Member Rout and I recognize is that in a competitive process, this is the organization with the expertise in our county that would compete for it, and has the track record for it. But yes, that is, I'm sure our parliamentarian could speak to it, and we addressed it last year around the University of Maryland program, that is just that we cannot specify an organization in the budget.
Right.
Thanks.
Vice Chair Walker?
Yes, thank you so much. I am unfamiliar with this particular program, and so my question comes from that vantage point. And as a parent, I can absolutely sympathize with leveraging our tools that we say we have and not being able to get the support that we need for our own children. So the advocacy that comes along with that, and the passion. So my question to the administration is, hearing everything that you're hearing today, is there anything that you haven't said that is applicable to today to help us with understanding how we can move forward with the resources that we have? Because what I'm hearing is that we need additional resources, especially when we have a parent that's saying, hey, I hear what you're saying, but I don't see it in practice. So if you could just help us understand a little bit what resources you have and how you're making any shifts so that parents like our board member here can get the services that she and others need. That'll be really important. And I think will help Ms. Rout, board member Rout as well in understanding, because she
And
feels.
before Trinell jumps in, I know I can see the tip of her tongue, getting ready to speak. I think the amendment, to go back to what Board Member Bouger Struthers just said, the amendment specifically names the organization, so that may need to be addressed. And then I'll pass it over to Trinell to kind of talk about what modifications have been made most recently around kind of the duplication of services and supports here.
So what we did link into the amendment was a 3-column chart that provided you with the goals of the pilot from the ARC. The second column provided you with our current PGCPS practices. And then the last column were the enhancements that we made based on the goals that were identified in the pilot. So one of the big pieces that I just do want to emphasize is that we believe in parent outreach. We are the largest staffed family support center in the state of Maryland for special education. So we outpace Montgomery County, Howard, Anne Arundel, all of our neighboring districts. And the Maryland State Department of Education will tell you that we believe in parent outreach. And so one of the big things as part of the pilot that we looked at is having a dedicated bilingual parent liaison. We will now have 1.5 FTEs to support this work of our parents. We also increased our positions from 10 months to 11 months to make sure that we had the summer months covered. Again, we've increased our Maryland online IEP parent log. There's a parent log. One of the things that we found in the pilot is that we weren't documenting always our communication with families. We have some families that we have worked with for years, asking them to fill out the paperwork, meeting with them, holding meetings, even doing home visits in some cases. And parents did not follow through on the process. But one of the things we saw in our auditing is that we did not document all those parent intents. So we now have a system that allows us to monitor every point of contact with parents and be able to pull that report quarterly so that we can monitor our outreach. Within the report itself, it talks about everything from the Social Security, SSI, Development Disabilities application, and all of the different linkages that our transitioning youth have to go through. Again, that's reviewed quarterly. We also know that as part of our outreach to families, that even when they exit us, for those parents and those families in which we were not able to make contact after doing home visits or trying to get outreach, we have a 3-month window of time. We will still be working and reaching out to them. The ARC is definitely one of many partners that we partner with around secondary transition, work-based opportunities, Melwood. There's a lot of different nonprofit community organizations that we partner with, as well as our state agencies, to ensure that we are supporting our parents through this process, which we know can be very cumbersome. So I just want to, again, stress upon the fact that we have the largest family support FTEs in our state, and that we do a lot of outreach. The ARC continues to partner with us around our transition expos, our outreach to parents, and the ARC will continue to do that work. And the other thing I just wanted to stress, that when we did do the pilot, there was no financial money associated with the pilot that we did under our MOU. So if we're looking to extend that another year, there is no financial money, or there will be no financial money on a MOU if we were to extend that. And then the last thing I'll add is the continuous professional development that we are doing to partner both with our state agencies, local agencies, around the understanding of the process, even for our staff that we have dedicated to support parents.
Thank you. Ms. Rout, Board Member Rout, would you like to modify your amendment just to take out the name of the organization?
Yes, absolutely. Can we please strike the ARC from the whole amendment?
Thank you. So we can recognize that we heard those two comments. Any more discussion, board members? And I see none. So Ms. Lopez, please call for vote.
You saw Dr. Miller's hand was raised.
Oh, Dr. Zipporah Miller.
No, that's okay. I'm okay, because as you strike the arc out of it, I was gonna ask Board Member Rao, does she need to rephrase it to just say additional services somehow?
Check it out.
Because they've already started doing some work around.
Yeah, I think striking it out is sufficient. Miss, okay, any more comments? Vice Chair Walker.
Yeah, just real quick, Board Member Rao, if you could just help me with what we're voting on now so I can be supportive, on this. What exactly are we voting? Do you still, after what you hear, do you still want this? And if so, what are we voting on? Just so I can be clear. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes, correct. I still would like to move forward, just for the special education and the disability community, just, given a voice for services. The services will be assessment and referral services for mental health support, screening for state and federal benefits, workshops, workforce and job development skills, social skill development, healthy living skills, and futures planning. And then working with the parents for to provide expertise and support on the transition process and options that are matched by other entities. So this would allow for the continuation of services, in addition to maybe a bridge as well for the special education students to being able to work with a nonprofit organization such as the ARC, not specifically the ARC, to provide these specific services in tandem with whatever the district is already offering. So it's my hope that they would work together to make sure that when there are parents that are non-responsive to the district and their attempts to support them, that this will be a catch. Because once I know, if you're a disabled person and you miss out on some of these windows, it's going to cost the county, the state, more money in the long term. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair.
Sorry, just to close out my, just to close out this comment right here, is the fiscal note still $350,000, or are we asking for them to go back now that it's not associated with the ARC per se, look at your gap and then figure out what's needed? That's what I think I was asking. Sorry, I wasn't clear.
Leave them note.
I would like for it to stand as is, because that is a suggestion of what this would cost based off of a pilot program that we have tested here in the district. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no other hands, there are no more discussion. Ms. Rout, our assistant needs you to restate the motion so she can write it down, please. It can be as simple as to approve amendment 214 that includes something. We are on 214, yes.
Yes, very fine. I move to approve the amendment 2.14, continuation of special education outreach and engagement services for transition age youth.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez, please call the roll.
Ms. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs, Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson, Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Aye.
Dr. Juanita Miller,
Aye.
Dr. Zipporah Miller,
Aye.
Mrs. Rout,
I vote aye.
Ms. Walker,
Aye. Don't forget to second after this, please. Thank you.
Ms. Mickens Murray.
Aye, we have 11 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment 2.14 has passed. Ms. Adam Stafford?
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I see Vice Chair Walker's hand.
Yeah,
The
just real
second for
quick,
that
who
one?
was the second? Thank you. Was it you, Shayla, for second?
I did not.
Just need a second.
I think I
Nobody seconded. If you just say second, I think we can move forward.
Yeah, my understanding is that when it comes out of committee,
Second.
you don't need a second.
Okay,
but-
Okay.
Brandon seconded it.
We
Thank
had
you.
just been seconding the whole meeting, so it's no problem if we don't need it. Thank you.
Madam
Okay.
Chair is correct. No seconds necessary.
Okay. All right, we're moving forward now. I move to approve Amendment 2.15 in-person learning spaces.
Excuse me, Ms. Adam Stafford,
Yes.
Mrs. Madam Chair, so who made the, motion? Was it, Mrs. Adam Stafford or Ms. Rout?
Ms. Rout made the motion.
Oh,
Okay. We good? Can we go to 2:15 now?
okay,
Ms.
thank you.
Adam Stafford?
I move to approve Amendment 2.15, which is in-person professional learning space.
There's a motion on the floor, and is there any discussion? Board members, is there any discussion with board members?
Yes, I can't raise my hand.
Dr. Miller.
Okay,
Vice
okay,
Chair.
now I see them. Okay, good. So, Dr. Coleman, I'll come to you after we hear the questions, because you might need to answer them. Okay? Board Member Boozer Struthers, Vice Chair Walker, and then, Board Member Zipporah Miller.
All right, thank you so much. I just want to speak in support of the amendment, in terms of, I think it's very clear that there's many reasons that we're looking at this now, the consolidation of the best use of buildings and consolidation, and of course, coming out of the climate change action plan work that we all did is in here. I did want to ask the maker of the amendment if any aspect of operations is excluded if we don't include it now in this, in whatever happens next, because I would like to see a central kitchen specifically called out if that is needed at this time. But if there's nothing exclusionary from the next steps around that, then I don't think it's necessary. I'd just like some feedback on that.
Okay, Dr. Miller, Zipporah, was that your amendment?
It's fine.
No.
Whose amendment was it?
It's me, Board Member Briggs.
Briggs, okay, Briggs. Speak to your amendment. She asked you a question.
Yes. I agree. I don't think that there's anything that's exclusionary about it. So if there are additional pieces, then I am amendable to that being added to it. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
Okay, Zipporah, okay, Vice Chair Walker?
Yes, thank you. The only question that I had about this is, I know that there's a bill that's being put forward for us to assess the new building. And so the question that I have is, and maybe it's to, I'm not sure if it's to Dr. Coleman or if it's to Mr. Briggs, but knowing that that is an assessment and something that in general we're supportive of, will this be duplicative for us to do this now when we know that that's forthcoming? I just wanted your opinion on that. And then what does that mean if we invest now in these dedicated rooms, which I'm a proponent of, for our future?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I would just say, and then I want to defer to Dr. Baldwin, just to provide from the human resources in feedback, and then Dr. Coleman on the logistical piece. But I would say that if it is, and what I heard from Mr. Washington yesterday was that they are in the process. So this would probably largely be symbolic. You know, if we were passing this, we're saying that you are committing to doing this and that we are agreeing to having dollars allocated for this specific purpose. It's already happening is what I heard. So this would be a symbolic vote, but I would say I want to turn it to Dr. Baldwin just to share more about the need and the purpose, and then Dr. Coleman.
Okay.
Thank you, Board Member Briggs. Yes, we had been looking at how to, in part of our onboarding, especially of our educators, we bring on at least 1,000 every year. And oftentimes at the beginning of the year, but we don't have in PGCPS a space that can house everybody at one time. So therefore, sometimes we have to have 2 different high schools in order to provide the learning experiences, in addition to the ongoing professional development that we want to have all year long, where it's something that's centralized for our educators and even our administrators and everyone to go to that one space and make it their home for the learning opportunities as part of their work. So I too will defer to Dr. Coleman, who shared with us through his team yesterday in Obafa that they were doing an assessment. So we appreciate looking into that and understanding the need from a professional learning standpoint.
Yes, thank you so much, Board Member Briggs. With the support of Superintendent House, we've launched a comprehensive initiative to define the overall facility needs for PGCPS. The main goal of this effort is to identify how best to consolidate our 16+ central office locations in a comprehensive way that aligns to our climate change action plan, saves operating and capital dollars, and repurposes and reduces the number of existing administration buildings. Through this process, the aim is to address our varied needs, including in-person staff development space, which is outlined in this amendment, but also to provide adequate board meeting space, expand warehouse and food service storage capacity, along with other considerations. In sum, we are working to provide a comprehensive consolidation plan to Superintendent House for his consideration to address our many school system needs, including in-person professional development.
Who asked the question?
I asked the question. Thank you
Did
so
that,
much.
yeah, did that?
Well, almost, we're almost there. So I guess my question is, because this all sounds amazing, if it's already in work, which is amazing, one, it looks like we can push back on the bill because we're already doing the work and we don't need a bill to do that. The second piece is then why is it on, if there's no, is there a fiscal note we're asking for? I'm just wondering if the work is already being done, why is it making our amendment list? What exactly are we asking for that's different than the work that's already being done?
Yeah. Well, I would say, and then I'm happy to defer again to Dr. Bob. When I had the conversation with the HR team, they had mentioned that this was a really essential, it was an essential need. And that was the purpose of it. I think we got more information from Mr. Washington and Dr. Coleman about the fact that that's happening. I still think I think it's useful to have it because we're not necessarily like, calling out a specific dollar amount, but calling out that this is a part of it. Is that we're going to ensure that professional development, like there's a specific consistent space for professional development. And the study sounds like it is comprehensive. So I think just from the, sense of a promise you're making to the board, I can see that being like useful without calling out a dollar amount where it is, it is open to whatever that would be once the study is completed.
Madam Chair, I can't raise my hand.
Oh, okay. We have not heard from Dr. Juanita Miller, so I'm going to her first. Then I'll come to you, Board Member Madeline LaSalle Frazier, and then Board Member Boozer Struthers, second round.
Thank you. I'm concerned, or my question to Dr. Coleman, or follow up to Board Member Walker's statement about legislation being written to for us directing the school system to bring on a company or individual to do a study. I have a concern with that because we have many professionals already on our team that could perform the analysis or assessment in terms of what we would need and the availability of space of other schools that may have closed, or whatever space we need that would accommodate all of the offices as indicated. So are you aware that there is a proposal to mandate that the school system hire a company or individual to do an assessment of our needs for a larger facility.
Is that a question for Board Member Briggs?
Coleman.
No, not Briggs, Dr. Cole.
Oh, okay, Dr. Coleman.
And Ms. Walker is aware of it as well.
But I'm aware of the bill, but Dr. Coleman?
Certainly. So our commitment is to consolidate, even before the bill, the climate change action plan that's supported by this board mandates that we look towards consolidating our facilities as a way to reduce our footprint regarding our carbon emissions. And so that is an effort that we are already working to support. It's not steering us, as far as I know, to any one group and really to usurp the authority of our in-house capital programs team or our Office of Alternative Infrastructure and Planning and Development team. We're actually working in partnership with them as well as our county government to lay out the best path forward given the complexities of the issue.
Thank you so much. Board Member Madeline LaSalliere Frazier.
Thank you. One thing that I've heard from teachers when I do my visits at different schools is the need to break some barriers when they're seeking their licensure courses. And one great suggestion that I heard from one of the teachers is the idea of having teacher hubs for learning, one in the north, one in the middle of Prince George's County, and one in the south, where they can go to in person to get those requirements that are needed for their licensures. So while I appreciate the need that we have to have a big space where we could all congregate, I think it's important and needed. I also want us to start considering some of the teachers' requests in terms of smaller learning environments that are easily accessible after school so they can get there in person to get their training that's needed. So I just want to start the conversation about that. Thank you.
Thank you. And second round, Board Member Boozer Struthers.
Yeah, so some of the thoughts I have to speak into why this is valuable to call out specifically. In fact, it was something that when we came together to do a pre-file bill hearing, which I, thank you all for giving me the go-ahead to speak on the board's behalf. I did share in those remarks back to the delegation an element that they did miss, which was state-of-the-art training center. And I think that as PGCPS is recognized around the nation for the work that we do, you see it in association conferences, many of our divisions, that the training center for our own employees then becomes a training center for the K-12 sector. It could possibly host conferences. It can put us at the center of that reputational excellence. And that is a vision that I think we should embrace and plan for in as we consolidate. Thanks.
Board Member Rout.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm going to support this. I supported it last night in the OBAFA committee. And the reason why I'm supporting it is because if we wanted to hold some type of space, we would have to rent that. And we could be generating income by offering our space for rent to other communities, just as we also open ourselves up with some of our facilities and school buildings. I think this puts us at a way to be world class, as we we need this tool to be able to provide in-person education and strategies. And I'm confident that our operations team, they're already working on this. So this would just be a little bow on the top. So I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any more discussion from any board members? Seeing none, Ms. Lopez, please.
Sorry, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whose hand?
This is Sheila Adams.
Okay,
So
go
just
ahead.
to be clear, there is no fiscal note attached to this because we've determined that it's already underway.
Yes.
There's no fiscal note attached to it. Okay,
Okay, so Ms. Lopez, please call
thank you.
Vice,
No.
Dr. Zipporah Miller.
It's just procedural. Sorry. I'm hearing that this is already underway. If they're already doing it, do we need an amendment? Just asking.
Can I answer that?
I'm
Can I answer that? In the past, we've had budget amendments. That this is something that does fall under like operations generally, and I think it's just like restating the commitment. People have had budget amendments before that don't have a fiscal note, but it's just stating that, you know, a part of our budget is going to, the administration and the Board of Education are committing to making this a priority. And we've had budget amendments that have had zero impact, but it's more of a statement to the community that this is a priority. It's just another way for us as board members to highlight that. So I think that we have a strong consensus behind it, and I think that it not having a fiscal note is great. And we can move forward.
Thank you. So seeing no other hands, Ms. Lopez, please call the roll.
Ms. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Ms. Busa Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Mrs. Lasalle Frazier, Mrs. Lasalle Frazier,
I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute. Aye.
Dr. Juanita Miller,
Aye.
Dr. Zipporah Miller,
Aye.
Mrs. Rout,
I vote aye.
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Ms. Mickens Murray.
Aye. We have 11 votes in the affirmative and none in the negative. The amendment 15 is adopted. Miss Adams, this is the last one, guys. I know it's been a long evening. Miss
Thank
Adams
you.
Stafford.
I move to approve amendment number 2.17, sensory rooms expansion. I believe we discussed it being an expansion yesterday. So if there's no second, as colleagues, do we have any discussion? Thank you, Board Member Rao.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm supporting this basically with the need of our growing autism populations. We need to prioritize our special education students and making sure that although we do have sensory rooms, there are opportunities to upgrade our rooms. Once again, we need to ready ourselves to be striving for all of the pillars in the blueprint. And this addition will, the tools and supports will allow us to continue to offer a world-class education for our special education students. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Board Member Busa Struthers.
Thank you so much. And I will admit I'm using this as an opportunity to make a point that many of our overcrowded schools do not have a room left to become a sensory room. We're even in our newest building, newest elementary school, we've already had to repurpose ESOL room to actually to serve similar purpose, which is very much needed. And this is again about our $8.5 billion backlog in school construction and funding as an underfunded system, that these are the real the outcomes and what we need to do and why we are fighting for full funding. Everything we talk about is about these details of what we can't provide in the school construction. We heard a lot about this evening, and I invite everyone to fight with us for the increased funds so we can have our students in buildings where we can have a sensory room. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zipporah Miller.
Thank you. I actually pulled this because yesterday I learned that they could use some community school funding. So I may need to work with Dr. Davis. Just it will reduce, basically it will the fiscal note. So I definitely want to do that. Board Member Strother, I hear you loud and clear. In terms of some schools, every room, including the closet, is probably taken out for one-on-one. But where we can, we really need to have these in every school as quickly as we can, because it helps create a safe space and safe learning environment that when a student needs a break, they're taken to some space, not unattended, with someone who has been trained. It's not going to have someone manning the room the entire time because it's as needed. And so if staff is trained, the staff would go with them. And that's how it's used in school systems like Dallas ISD. So this is really to try to, well, I pulled it because I just wanted to make sure that as we are presenting it, that right now, as it sits, I budgeted for every school. Some schools already have it, so that means we can take them off the list. Some community schools can fund it, and then wherever we level off, that will be given.
Thank you so much. Vice Chair Walker?
Thank you so much. I am a huge proponent of calming rooms. I think it's beneficial not only for our scholars, but also for our teachers. Adults need it as well. I have it at my retreats. It's really proven in research. One of the questions I just had is, am I reading this correctly to see that this is a $3.8 million fiscal note? Or am I reading too many zeros on this one right here? I'm on.
Too many zeros. Too many
Okay,
zeros.
'cause mine has all the zeros. Okay, just wanted to double check on that, because what I do know is that we have community partners who can absolutely help us with ensuring that we have the right space, the right music, the right colors and everything like that. Okay, good. My version has too many zeros, but I thank you so much for going back and taking a look at that.
All right, I will go to Superintendent House and then to you, Dr. Davis.
Actually, I appreciate the comments that have been made, especially around the lack of space and putting the district in a position where we would have to make space. I'd like to defer to Dr. Davis to share some of the insights that we talked about today.
Yes, thank you, Superintendent House. I just wanted to thank the board again for their advocacy, because this is definitely something that I support and I think is definitely needed. I do know some schools have them. Some schools have calming spaces like within the classroom if they are in a position where there's no space in the school. And I think that's a great thing, because teachers are creating an environment where it's built right into the room where children have that space. I just don't have enough data. And my amendment sheet also had $3.8 million. And I wasn't sure where that number came from. But I also would like to get the data to see where actually it's needed. And I would love for the school's office and academics to work together around this, because I know some of this falls under special education and some of it falls under just schools. And so I would be more than excited to find out, to look at the data and then figure out how we could do this also with some grant monies that we have, and like community partners helping us with it as well.
Could I make a point of information? Could I ask
go
a
ahead.
point of information? Well, actually, this is just, I guess I'm just raising my hand for discussion. Dr. Miller, would you be willing to withdraw this amendment to work in collaboration with Dr. Davis to conduct like an assessment of our current sensory rooms and determine a rollout that could basically be in line with current data and what's needed and what we have funding to do in partnership with local organizations and grants?
Well, what I will be willing to do is make an amendment that I will work with Dr. Davis and come up with an accurate number in terms of what we need. But the sensory, this is about having a safe space for all learners. And so coming up with what we need and then going from there. So it's not just going with the numbers that we have here. So I will be willing to amend it so that we can ensure that we work with Dr. Davis to look at what the data says in terms of where they are in school.
Are you willing to take the fiscal note off of it so that we can come up with a number after we collaborate with the administration?
That's why I pulled it. I pulled it so that I can make sure that I made clear that that fiscal note is not accurate after hearing that there's some schools that already have it. So the answer
Okay. So you're accepting my amendment to pull the fiscal note from this amendment?
So let me just restate, I'm willing to make an amendment to work with Dr. Davis, and knowing that the fiscal note that is there is not accurate, because that's why I pulled it. And so it will be discussed, looked at the data, and we'll come up with an accurate number to reflect what is needed in the school system. And I can restate that.
I guess what I'm hoping to see here with this one particularly, because I know I've been to some amazing sensory rooms in my district. What I'm hoping to see is that the administration can come back to us with a note and a plan to pay. So I just feel like this amendment needs a little bit more data and to support its rollout. Because we don't know how many schools, we don't have a cost, and we're just, next week is when we will be voting on the budget. And I'm just wondering, Dr. Davis, do you think your team can come back or work with Dr. Miller over the course of the next week to conduct this type of assessment? Or is the amendment to do an assessment?
No, I think, I'm interjecting in this one. I think the amendment is Dr. Miller's amendment, and she has agreed to, give the administration an opportunity to modify the fiscal note. I think personally that's sufficient, and I don't understand why we, need to go into any more detail.
Okay.
So we'll go to Board Member Boozer Strother.
Yeah, I was just going to speak in support of making sure there still is a fiscal note to show that the cost of what we need for our kids. Thanks.
Okay, is there any more? Oh, I see Vice Chair Walker.
Thank you so much for recognizing me. I think the additional discussion is really just to confirm that Dr. Davis has the capacity to work with Dr. Miller within this week, because we are going into budget and we don't want it to be zero, because we know it's not zero, but we also know it's not $3 million. And so we need something to happen over the course of this week. And that's what I heard Board Member Adam Stafford asking, and what I heard Dr. Zipporah Miller saying she's willing to do with Dr. Davis. I think the question just is if Dr. Davis has the capacity before the budget so that we can get some type of number there. We're all in alignment that we need it, but we need a general number.
Dr. Davis?
Yes, what's the time frame? I apologize. When is it?
We vote next week, next Thursday, 22nd.
Okay. Yes, I will do that.
Thank you.
And Dr. Zipporah Miller, I may be calling you in the evenings.
No worries, anytime.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Lopez, call the roll.
Madam Chair, just point of clarification. Is it possible that board member can reinstate the motion?
Board Member Zipporah Miller, please restate your motion with the amendment to the amendment about the fiscal note.
Give me a second, I'm thinking through it.
I believe it was board member Adam Stafford.
No, the maker of the amendment was Dr. Miller.
I pulled it to amend it, and I'm amending it to work with
The administration.
in order to come up with an accurate fiscal note to present to the board.
Okay. All right, Ms. Lopez, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Aye.
Dr. Juanita Miller, Mrs. Rout,
I vote aye.
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Ms. Mickens-Murray.
Aye. There are 11 votes in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion carries to approve 2.17 amendment as amended. I see Adam Stafford, your hand.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you so much to all of my colleagues for just your advocacy on behalf of your communities. This is the largest number of board proposed amendments that I've seen in my tenure here on the board, and I'd like to think that over these years, we have grown more comfortable with bringing some of these issues from our community forward. This shows a greater level of transparency and advocacy, and I want to thank Vice Chair Harris for his leadership in helping us to keep the path with the amendments. I'd like to thank Superintendent House and Chief Howell for really making themselves available to it's a Herculean effort to get so much data, and Chief Boyd to get so much data back to us so that we can move these amendments forward. This was not easy, and I thank everyone for your cooperation in ensuring that we're able to add these budget amendments to the operating budget. And I again just want to thank Chair Mickens-Murray for allowing helping us to move this process forward. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. We will now move to 3.1, follow-up and next steps. The amendments approved tonight will be incorporated into the school year 25 proposed budget. The full board will make a decision on the proposed budget at the February 22nd, 2024 board meeting. To the executive leadership team, please take under advisement the recommendations made this evening by the board members as you proceed with the development of the fiscal year 2025 superintendent's proposed operating budget. Follow-up items from the February 15, 2024 fiscal year 2025 superintendent's proposed operating budget work session will be posted on board docs. With that, the question now is on the motion to adjourn.
I just had my hand up just really
Oh, I'm
quickly.
sorry, I didn't see it. I was
It's no
looking back.
problem at all. We're almost done, and I will absolutely make the motion to adjourn right after this. I just wanted to remind board members that it's going to be a quick week for turnaround for the administration with some of our requests. If the makers of these or the sponsors of these bills, Lord, I'm in legislative session, Lord. If the amendments, if we can just make ourselves readily available for any questions that they might have in order to do any follow-ups, that would be great. Dr. Coleman, this is just a shout out that I will be sending you a note so that we could talk about how the funding for the soy, I just wanted to put that out there. And so the point is that it's going to be a lot of discussions if we can make ourselves available. And with that, I'm happy to call for the adjournment, make the motion that we adjourn at 9:08 p.m.
Is there a second?
Second. Jocelyn Rout, second.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you for your cooperations. It was a great 2 nights, and I think we accomplished a lot. And to the superintendent and the administration, thank you.
What was the result on the vote to adjourn?
Oh God, I'm so tired.
Unanimous.
Okay, we need to vote. I'm sorry. Ms. Lopez.
Without objection.
Okay, can we adjourn without objection? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.